My brother has a girlfriend who can be described as perfect. She is kind to my brother and kind to my parents. I thought they were a match made in heaven until Christmas Eve, when my brother brought her home to meet the family. She brought gifts, bringing them in trip after trip, and soon they filled the living room. Mom was both happy and reproachful. "Oh, Mizuki, look at you. You shouldn't have brought so much stuff. You're spending money recklessly." Mizuki lowered her eyelids slightly, then handed a gift box that looked invaluable to Mom. "Auntie, this is a gift for you. Merry Christmas." "You child," Mom said while politely unwrapping it, then exclaimed, "Oh my, this is too precious." It turned out that what she gave Mom was a string of celestial pearls worth an entire year of her salary. After receiving a signal from her eyes, my brother stepped forward, put the pearl necklace on Mom, and said, "Mom, just accept it. This is Mizuki's heartfelt intention." Mom touched the necklace she had been dreaming of and smiled sincerely. "This necklace is really beautiful. Thank you so much." Mizuki smiled slightly and continued, "I have a bottle of champagne. Do you have any glass cups at home?" Mom immediately told me to go get the cups. Although I had been pretending to watch the TV program, I was also secretly looking forward to a Christmas gift. Mom received the pearl necklace, Dad received cigarettes and alcohol, but there was no mention of me. It seemed there was nothing for me. Hearing Mom's command, I put away that little bit of disappointment, said, "Oh," and went to the kitchen to get the cups with an indifferent look. In the kitchen, Dad asked me quietly, "KJ, why do you look so unhappy?" I squeezed out a little smile. "No, I'm quite happy." "Is it because Mizuki didn't give you a gift?" I got a little angry. "She is here to see you, not me. Why should she buy me something? Is her money not money?" "Sorry, Dad was wrong. Dad just saw you looking listless and was afraid you felt neglected." Dad's intention was to comfort me, but the last sentence made me feel terrible all of a sudden. Have I not been neglected enough? Because my brother is more outstanding, the family prioritizes him for everything. We have a 3-bedroom apartment. My parents live in the master bedroom, my brother in the second bedroom, and I can only live on the balcony. Just because my brother had many books, they had to vacate a room for his study. It wasn't until he got a job and moved near the company that I finally moved into that vacated study. For the past 6 months, my brother hasn't been home, and my life has been much more comfortable. But as soon as he returns, their liveliness immediately highlights my superfluity. But today is a good day, and I don't want to pull a long face and make everyone unhappy. It's nothing. The cups are washed, I'm going out. Seeing my expression recover slightly, Dad felt relieved and went back to check the soup. Dinner was served. The table was full of dishes that my brother and Mizuki liked. At the rectangular dining table, my parents sat opposite the two of them. I sat facing the wall, silently eating the fried egg that Dad had buried at the bottom of my bowl. I finished my meal without interest and stood up with my bowl. "I'm full, I'm going to study," Mom and my brother answered, and Mizuki looked up at me. Dad said with some worry, "Can you be full with so little? Don't just focus on studying." Mom interrupted him. "There is so much food at home, can he be hungry? Don't worry so much." Then she said to me, "The college entrance exam is coming up soon. Study hard. Your brother's grades were so good back then. Pay attention and stop playing with your phone all the time." I resisted the urge to talk back, washed my bowl, and returned to my room. I wanted to slam the door hard, but in the end, I weakly closed it gently. Mom was still nagging outside. I leaned against the door and tears streamed down my face. "If you complain every day that I'm not as good as my brother, why did you give birth to me in the first place?" I lay on the bed and closed my eyes. I didn't eat much, and now I was both angry and hungry, tossing and turning on the bed, unable to sleep. After tossing until past 11 p.m., my brother came in wiping his hair. "Keg, let's sleep together tonight." I was already very sleepy by this time. I gave a vague, and rolled over. My brother sleeping in my room meant Mizuki was sleeping in the master bedroom. An outsider gets to sleep in the master bedroom of my house. But I can't. I fell asleep with resentment over the master bedroom. I don't know how long it had been, but I felt something soft on my lips. I blinked my eyes and a lightning bolt streaked across. I saw the face of the person kissing me. It was Mizuki. How could I dream of her? The lightning flashed and vanished, and the room became dark again. Before I could recover from the shock, Mizuki lifted my chin and kissed me again. Different from the previous tentative kiss, this kiss was overbearing and deeper. The unfamiliar and scorching female scent was everywhere. I couldn't breathe. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught a glimpse of my brother's figure. He was breathing heavily and was fast asleep. In the suffocating pressure, I reached out my hand, wanting to wake my brother and wake myself up. My hand was stopped halfway by Mizuki. She pressed my hand to my side and leaned her whole body over me. I kicked my leg violently, wanting to escape from this increasingly absurd nightmare. But she held me down, and I couldn't wake up. After the dream ended, I curled up into a ball in the blanket with my back to my brother. It was still raining outside, and my brother was still sleeping, as if nothing had happened. But my body still carried the lingering traces of pleasure, clearly reminding me of what had just happened. What a nightmare. I could no longer look them in the eyes. Because I felt guilty, I woke up before dawn. I got up and found my underwear wet. I threw the dirty clothes into the washing machine and sneaked out of the house before everyone else was up. Sitting in a breakfast shop 2 streets away, I returned home after eating. Sure enough, my brother and Mizuki had already left. Only Dad was busy in the kitchen. I let out a sigh of relief when I didn't see Mizuki. The weekend arrived, and Dad called to ask me, "Your brother and Mizuki are coming back for lunch tomorrow. Remember to be back." I had intended to eat out with friends, but I could only say, "Okay, I know." Friday afternoon, I had hot pot with Hina Tanaka, then we went our separate ways. I was waiting for the elevator on the first floor. When the door opened, my brother and Mizuki were actually inside. I called out, "Brother," walked in, and stood on his side. Then I greeted Mizuki on the other side. "Hello, Mizuki-san," she said faintly. "Hello." My brother's tone was also very flat. "How come you and your friend are out?" I said the movie wasn't good, so Hina Tanaka and I came out early. Then we had hot pot. "I won't be eating with you all later." My brother gave a grunt, and then it was quiet in the elevator. Fortunately, we arrived home quickly. As soon as they entered, they were warmly welcomed by Mom. Learning that I had already eaten, Mom said unhappily, "If you could come home early, why eat out? What a waste of money. If you aren't eating, go back to your room and study. You're only 10th in the grade, don't be arrogant." I went into my room, closed the door, and collapsed on the bed. Just then, Dad knocked on the door. "KJ, dinner is ready, come out and eat some." I sat up and shouted to the outside, "I'm full. I don't want to eat. You guys eat." Dad had to say through the door, "Then I'll save some for you. Take a nap if you're tired. I'm gonna serve the food." As soon as he left, I changed into pajamas and got into bed. I don't know how long it had been, but I heard the door open, followed by footsteps. Suddenly, I felt a chill as the quilt was pulled away. At the same time, Mom's voice exploded in my ear. "Cage, I've been calling you for a long time. Why are you pretending to be asleep?" I woke up instantly and sat up, my heart pounding with fear. Mom stood by the bed, angry, having truly pulled off my quilt. My head hurt terribly from being woken up. My temper flared up and I shouted at her, "Are you crazy? Why did you pull off my quilt?" Seeing me dare to challenge her, Mom became even more intense. "When have you ever taken a nap? You pretend to be asleep to be lazy when I tell you to study. You have no self-discipline at all. How can you get into a good university at this rate? If you were half as diligent as your brother, you wouldn't have such mediocre grades. You're just a worry." Here we go again, saying I'm inferior to my brother. I jumped off the bed and roared, "If you love him so much, why did you give birth to this trash like me? My studies are bad, I have no merits, and I make you angry all day long. What are you waiting for? Just choke me to death." I stretched out my neck. "Come on, do it. If you don't kill me now, don't blame me for making you die of anger later." Mom never expected me to go this crazy. Her lips trembled as she looked at me like a monster. After a moment, she slapped me and then started crying herself. I pushed her away and rushed out. I bumped into someone in the living room and sent them stumbling. It was my brother. He hadn't left. He fell to the ground with a cry. Mizuki walked over to help him up. She hadn't left either. I stood there, feeling incredibly chaotic. I thought they had left, which is why Mom was so unbridled in scolding me. But now, my hysterical crying had been seen by them. How could Mom be like this? Why make me lose face in front of them? Because the argument was related to my brother, he didn't scold me for being reckless after being helped up. He just looked at me with some conflict. Mom came out of the room, saw the situation, and scolded me immediately. "Cage, why are you venting your anger on your brother? He hasn't done anything to you. Apologize to your brother now. My brother touched her awkwardly. Mom, I'm fine. Don't say anything more to Keiji. Don't you interfere. It's all because your dad spoils him. He has no manners at all. I must make him apologize today. She protected my brother like a mother hen, looking at me like an enemy. Looking at the two of them, I couldn't be bothered to say a word. I wiped my tears and ran out of the house. I don't want her as my mom anymore. The elevator was stuck. Mom's scolding continued, saying I was lazy and greedy, and that I talked back. I pressed the buttons frantically, but no response. Just then, Mizuki chased out from the house and grabbed my wrist. Keig! I shook her off. Go away, don't worry about me. She let go for fear of hurting me. I calmed down. Mizuki hadn't done anything to me. I turned my head away. I'm going to Hina Tanaka's house. I'm not just running around. I'll tell Dad. Before I finished, a coat with body warmth was put on me. Only then did I feel the cold. I was wearing thin pajamas and flip-flops. My face burned with pain from the slap. I felt extremely aggrieved, grabbed her clothes, and squatted down crying. The elevator arrived. Mizuki said she would take me to my brother's house. I followed her silently. In the car, Mizuki called my brother and said she was taking me to his place. After hanging up, she started the car. I sat in the passenger seat, looking out the window. My brother was the cause of the fight, and now I was being taken to his place by his girlfriend. My heart felt heavy. The headache was still there, and soon I felt motion sick. I couldn't help but gag. Mizuki immediately stopped the car. Not feeling well? I nodded weakly. A little motion sick. She touched my forehead and unbuckled her seatbelt. You have a fever. I was too embarrassed to trouble her. I'm fine, just need to sleep. The response was the sound of a door slamming. I watched her walk to a pharmacy, tears welling up. Mizuki, an outsider, cared about me this much, but my own mother belittled me in public. Why say I was pretending to sleep? Why make me feel so humiliated in front of them? I am inferior to my brother, but I'm not worthless, and every time we fight, she cries first, making it look like I'm the one bullying her. Soon, Mizuki came back with medicine and water. She prepared the pills and water for me. Thank you, Mizuki-san. I took the medicine and leaned against the window. I began to get drowsy as the medicine took effect. 10 minutes later, we reached my brother's house. My brother lived in a studio apartment. This was my second time here. I noticed some feminine items, surely Mizuki's. Mizuki told me to rest in my brother's room. I was too tired to talk, so I went inside and slept. In my stupor, I felt a weight on my body. Exhausted, I struggled to open my eyes. I saw a pair of pitch-black eyes staring straight at me in the dim room, like two black holes. It was sleep paralysis again. Too terrifying. I wanted to wake up, but I couldn't move or scream. Suddenly, it went black. I drifted into a deep sleep, and when I woke up, the room was pitch black. I turned on the light. It was already past 8 p.m. Oh no, late for study. My heavy clothes were hanging by the bed. My brother must have hung them up. I started putting them on, but gave up halfway. It was too late. Even if I rushed to school, I'd only get one session in. I was tired and annoyed. Let others get ahead today. I'll catch up tomorrow. I went to the living room. I was alone. Where were they? My brother sent a message. I helped you ask for sick leave. The company is busy. Order takeout. Remember to take your medicine. He also sent a red envelope. I didn't click on it, just replied, understood. I was hungry, so I went to the kitchen and checked my messages. Dad sent a message saying Mom had cried for a long time and to have a good rest. He also sent a red envelope. My nose felt sore, and I thanked Dad. He called immediately, asking if I was better. I said I was much better. Dad, I'll go to school tomorrow and will return home next week. Dad said, okay. Your brother told me about today. Your mom was wrong. I apologize for her. It's fine, Dad. I claimed the red envelope. There was no food in my brother's house, so I ordered takeout and did practice problems. I can't be overtaken by others. Candidates are anxious even when sick. The medicine Mizuki bought made me drowsy, which explained my nightmares. I didn't dare to take that one again. I have school tomorrow. I ordered different medicine without drowsy side effects. After dinner, I took a hot shower and slept well. The next day, my brother woke me up. He woke up even earlier than my alarm. He looked haggard. I felt bad for him. What time did you get back? Did you sleep well? About 3 to 4 hours. Busy with a project. Go wash up. I'll take you for breakfast, then take a taxi to school. I didn't delay him. I noticed the medicine Mizuki bought was gone. My brother must have put it away. After New Year's, it was almost winter break. At dinner, everyone talked about their break plans. Hina Tanaka said her family was going to the United States to visit her sister, Satomi Tanaka, who bought a house in Washington. Satomi is the idol of our generation, 5 grades ahead of my brother, a super student who went to the US on a full scholarship. She never came back during her graduate studies and now works at a famous hospital. Hina Tanaka asked if I wanted to go, saying I didn't need to worry about airfare and lodging. I was tempted. America. Going abroad. What a great opportunity. But Mom wouldn't agree. She didn't like me playing with Hina Tanaka. But what if, I told Dad, hoping he'd help with the passport and visa. Within a minute, Mom called and scolded me. Hina Tanaka is top 3 in class. You? With your grades, you want to play? Do you know how much that costs? Even if airfare is free, what about passport and visa? They are going for a reunion. What are you doing there? Maybe they are just being polite. Be sensible. We have to meet Mizuki's family for New Year's. Your brother defended you despite being hurt, and you want to leave instead of showing up. How will the other family see us? I hung up. I smiled at Hina Tanaka. I can't go. We have family plans. Hina Tanaka looked at me sympathetically. Maybe my mom can talk to your parents. It's your brother's engagement, not yours. I shook my head. Thanks, Hina Tanaka, forget it. The tickets are expensive anyway. Let's go when I'm rich. Hina Tanaka sighed. Okay, I'll bring you a gift. Other girls chimed in, asking for gifts. Nozomi wanted to speak up, but was embarrassed. I helped her out. Don't forget Nozomi. Everyone was happy. I felt sad, wishing I could go. Although I couldn't go, Mom scolded me anyway. She recounted my sins, roaring at her, hurting my brother, staying at his place, dreaming of going to the US, plus my grade drop. She canceled my outings and pocket money. Dad tried to intercede, but was scolded too. College entrance exam is a lifetime thing. If he can't get into a good university, he'll be a burden. I never got used to these lectures. I stood there with red eyes. Cry, cry, cry. Do more problems instead. She left. Dad patted my shoulder. Don't say anything, Dad. I went to my room to study. Dad offered to cook. I locked the door and wept while studying. Why treat me like a criminal? Why wasn't I born into the Tanaka family? I fell asleep on the desk. The next day, I found myself in bed. Dad must have moved me. 7 a.m., Dad was cooking. Did you sleep well? Made eggs for you. We were comrades in the same trench. I accepted his gesture. I couldn't find my underwear from Christmas Day. It was my favorite brand. I didn't tell Mom, but I was sure I put it in the machine. It was nowhere to be found. I only wore it twice. I moved on. Mom came out for breakfast. She saw the eggs and frowned. We were scared. She didn't say anything. I ate while thinking. This life is hard. How did Dad marry her? I wanted to improve my grades to have a voice at home. Unfortunately, my exams were a disaster. I was doomed for the winter break. Hina Tanaka's family set their date to go abroad. Mom wouldn't let me go out. I couldn't even say goodbye to the Tanaka family. On the afternoon the Tanaka family left for the airport, I stood by the window and sent Hina Tanaka a text message wishing them a safe journey. They were originally going to take a taxi from the south entrance near their home, which wouldn't pass by my house, but shortly after I sent the text, the whole family dragged their suitcases downstairs and waved at my window. I quickly pushed open the window and leaned out to wave back. I didn't even feel the cold wind blowing into my collar and sleeves. Fearing I might alarm Mom, we didn't make a sound, just kept waving at each other. Hina Tanaka's mother gestured for me to go back inside, saying it was too dangerous to lean out like that. Only when they saw me retreat did they pull their suitcases away. After they drove off, I remained by the window, feeling incredibly desolate. Now, even if I were wronged at home, I would have no place left to escape to. They didn't take Curry, their dog, abroad. I really wanted to look after him, but Mom hated animals and was allergic to dog hair, so they had to leave Curry at a friend's house. Returning to the table and looking at the mountain of homework, I wanted to tear it all to shreds in an instant, but that was just a fleeting thought. Since Hina Tanaka wasn't there to help me copy homework for free, I couldn't tear it up. I had to keep doing it. I functioned like a test-solving machine, listless until New Year's Eve, feeling like I would vomit just looking at those stacks of papers and materials. On New Year's Eve, Hikaru returned. He had been busy at the company until 6 p.m. When he arrived, the outside was already full of the sound of firecrackers. As soon as Mom saw him, she was happy and asked why Mizuki hadn't come. Hikaru said she was going back to her own home for New Year's Eve dinner. We will meet at the Gold Harbor Hotel at 10 a.m. tomorrow for morning tea. By the way, this is a gift she brought for you. Mom's tone was cheerful. Why is that child always so polite? Heavens, cashmere scarves and Australian imports at that. Is this for me? Oh, she spent too much money. Hikaru asked, where is Kage? Mom said he was studying in his room. Hikaru was a bit pained. Studying won't change in this short time. It's the new year, let him take a break. Tadeo also chimed in. That's right. As soon as vacation started, you locked Kage in his room. He didn't even get to see Hina Tanaka off when she went abroad. He might not say it, but who knows how sad he is inside. He's the one who didn't work hard enough to get good grades, and you want to blame me for being too strict? Isn't it for his own good? If it were someone else's child, you'd see if I'd even bother to manage him. Forget it, one of you go call him. It's time for dumplings and the New Year gala. I was as happy as if I had received a huge gift, but I quickly pretended to be focused on my studies. Tadao knocked on the door. Kage, stop writing. Mom wants you to come out. Hikaru is back. I put down my pen and said, all right. After I came out, Mom was standing in front of the mirror admiring her new scarf. I lowered my head and obediently called her, Mom, she said to me in a condescending tone as if bestowing a favor. Mizuki also bought you a gift. Go take a look. I walked up to Hikaru and said, brother, you're back, before sitting down and accepting the gift box he handed me. The box was square and small, wrapped in gift paper, looking unremarkable. But when I opened it, it was actually a jade bracelet. Mom had been watching me unwrap the gift in the mirror. Seeing the bracelet, she immediately walked over and asked Hikaru, what's going on? Why is this a bracelet? Did you mix up our gifts? At the moment I saw the bracelet, I also thought it was a mistake. How could a boy like me wear such an old-fashioned jade bracelet? But after hearing Mom say that, I immediately put the bracelet on, lifted my hand, and specifically said to Hikaru, brother, look, it's not too big or too small, it's just right. Mom sat beside Hikaru, untied the cashmere scarf from her neck, and urged him to ask, did Mizuki send the wrong one? Hikaru, you surely didn't know what Mizuki bought for us. Hikaru was a bit confused. She didn't send the wrong one, she said the big box was yours, and the small one was Kage's. I glanced at the big box containing the scarf, then peeked at Mom's hesitant expression, feeling secretly delighted. She definitely had her eyes on the jade bracelet. Even though I didn't like jade, I wasn't going to give it to her. Before Mom could speak, I stood up and walked into the kitchen. Dad, look, Mizuki-san bought me a beautiful bracelet. Tadao brought the freshly cooked dumplings to the table, took my hand and looked at it. Oh my, this luster is beautiful. It's so clear, it must have cost a lot of money. Then he said to Hikaru, Hikaru, tell Mizuki not to buy such expensive things in the future. Last time she bought cigarettes, alcohol, and pearls for me and your mom. This time she bought jade for Cage. You two work hard. Just save your money. Don't be so lavish. By the way, your new home isn't settled yet, right? I must contribute to this down payment. You must accept it. Hikaru said, no need, Dad. You and Mom should keep that money for KJ. What we earn is enough. Don't worry about us. Perhaps she felt guilty about not bringing Cage a gift during Christmas, so she bought one for the new year. Then he said to me, sorry, Cage. I was too busy buying New Year goods for the family and forgot to buy you a gift. I'll send you a red envelope tomorrow. I felt quite embarrassed. My showing off the bracelet like that seemed to be pointing at him, as if to say, your girlfriend knows to buy me things, but you, my own brother, don't care about me at all. But I didn't mean that. Just as I was about to say it wasn't necessary, Mom seized the opportunity to stand up. You're just a child yourself. Why send a red envelope? When we meet Mizuki's family tomorrow, her elders might give Kage New Year's money, so don't you give him anything. Don't waste money. Have some planning. She only had that deep maternal affection for Hikaru. I couldn't be bothered to listen, so I went into the kitchen to help carry out the dishes. While arranging the chopsticks, I forgot I was still wearing the bracelet. My hand knocked against the glass table, making a crisp ding sound. I was terrified, and quickly lifted my hand to check the bracelet. Thankfully, it was intact. If it had chipped, it would have been such a pity. Just as I was about to take it off, Mom said fiercely, are you done showing off? We're about to eat, why are you still wearing it? Always so careless. You wouldn't be happy unless you broke it. You can't stand seeing anything good. Tadao couldn't help but say, all right, all right. If the child likes it, let him wear it. It's not broken. Say less, it's the new year, don't make the child miserable. Mom scolded me a few more times, finally feeling satisfied, and hummed without saying anything else. Hikaru patted my shoulder and, after sitting down next to me, whispered, Kage, Mom just has a sharp tongue. Don't take it to heart. I looked down at the glistening bracelet and for a moment, I really wanted to jump off the balcony wearing it. In the end, I didn't dare. I took it off miserably and put it in my pocket, picking up my chopsticks during the ensemble performance as the New Year Gala began. After being scolded by Mom, this New Year's Eve dinner felt stifling. Fortunately, while watching the gala, I saw the photos Hina Tanaka sent from the United States. Most were scenes of American streets, bustling roads, Satomi Tanaka's new home, and group photos of the Tanaka family. I hadn't seen Satomi since she went abroad for her studies. In my memory, she was an unremarkable, gentle, and shy girl. Now, she looked completely different in the photos, having become mature and beautiful, like a young lady from a wealthy family, making me look like the silly daughter of a landlord. Hikaru saw them and leaned in. I haven't seen Satomi since she went to the US. I almost didn't recognize her. I immediately flipped through the photos for him, my tone filled with pride. Look, isn't Satomi beautiful now? She became a doctor at a private hospital and even bought a house this year. Hikaru nodded. Satomi is truly our role model. Her hard work matches her achievements. When he saw the group photo of the Tanaka family, Hikaru asked, Did the aunt and uncle go to the US this year too? My spirits instantly deflated, yes. Mentioning this made me very regretful. They had originally said they would take me with them. As long as I had a passport and visa, it would be fine. But, Hikaru pressed, did you not get them? That's such a pity. I've never been to the US. If you had gone, you could have seen a different cultural environment and broadened your horizons. Mom immediately interrupted. The Tanaka family was just being polite. Airfare alone is over $10,000. Who would spend that money on an outsider for nothing? He's just naive to take it seriously. Hikaru also felt the Tanaka family couldn't possibly spend that much money on me, so he laughed it off. Mom turned to ask Hikaru, Where do you plan to go for your honeymoon with Mizuki after you get married? Hikaru said shyly. Maybe Phuket. Mom waved her hand dismissively. That place isn't safe. You might as well go to the US for a luxury vacation. Thinking that you've only focused on studying all these years and never traveled, Mom feels terrible. Thinking about it, we really didn't treat you well. Go ahead and have fun, Mom will sponsor you. Your dad will contribute money too. Tadao nodded. Go wherever you want to play. Don't worry about the money. Hikaru kept saying thanks, while I felt a sour bubble of grievance rising in my heart. Why was there no money when it came to getting a passport and visa for me? But Hikaru could get sponsorship for his honeymoon and go wherever he pleased. Mom also suggested they go to the US. Wasn't she doing this on purpose to anger me? Feeling angry, I didn't want to watch the gala anymore. I stood up and said, I'm tired. I'm going back to my room to sleep. Mom didn't even lift her eyelids. Sleep then. Who asks you? I walked toward the room. Fine. Since you won't let me go abroad, I'll make things difficult for you too. I absolutely will not attend tomorrow. Even if I get beaten, I won't go. Tadao saw that things were not looking good and quickly chased after me. Kage, Kage. He followed me into the room, lowered his voice, and said gently, Cage, your mom is a strong-willed person who doesn't mince her words. She knows you feel aggrieved. It's the new year. For your dad and brother's sake, don't hold a grudge against your mom. Just yield to her a little. Hearing this, I pushed and shoved him out of the room, slamming the door shut with a loud bang. Always saying she has a bad temper and telling me to yield. Just because I have a good temper, do I deserve to be bullied by someone with a bad one? I won't yield. The next morning, the house was busy with preparations for Hikaru's big event. Mom disapproved of Tadao's fashion sense and commanded him on which suit and tie to wear. She had him spinning around in circles. I had actually been awake for a long time, but I just stayed in bed and wouldn't get up. Hikaru came to knock on the door, and Tadao came to knock on the door, but I ignored them both. I assumed the next person would be the fierce warrior mom coming for a head-on confrontation. Unexpectedly, she said lightly from outside the door, if he doesn't come out, don't bring him. If Mizuki and the others ask, just say he went to the US with friends. This struck me like a bolt of lightning. Since it didn't matter if I attended or not, why did she block me from going abroad in the first place? Does she really hate spending money on me and seeing me do well that much? I slammed the door open and rushed out. As soon as I opened my mouth, I choked up. You said I couldn't go to the US because I had to be here for my brother's engagement. Why are you lying to them now saying I went? You're a liar, you're biased. I hate you, I dislike you. Tadao quickly came forward to grab me and prevent me from continuing. I struggled while wailing, "Why are you pulling me? It's clearly her fault. I don't want to see you people anymore, you bad people." Mom didn't come forward at all, just standing far away as if it had nothing to do with her. She was wearing her most expensive outfit today and even had on the pearl necklace, adjusting her makeup in the mirror and grabbing her bag, ready to go out. Hikaru probably didn't expect the conflict between Mom and me to be so sharp and said with some reluctance, "Mom, let's take Keige. We can't leave him at home alone." Mom sneered. "Take him for what? Didn't you see this arrogant attitude? It's like someone owes him money. If we take him out, who knows what kind of trouble he'll cause in front of our own family. Him getting a bad reputation is a small matter, but if the Mizuki family gets a bad impression of you and our family, it will affect your future marriage." Hikaru also didn't want to back down, but sighed helplessly and went to the entryway to put on his shoes. Tadao hadn't said a word until Mom urged him to hurry up. He suddenly said, "Hikaru, I'm sorry. I won't go. I'll stay at home and keep Keiki company." Hikaru hadn't said anything yet, but Mom immediately flared up. "You're not going? This is Hikaru's life-changing event and you're not going? How do you expect me to explain this? What will they think of Hikaru?" Then she finally looked at me, gritting her teeth. "It's the new year, and you have to make everyone feel miserable, right? You couldn't go to the US because you didn't do well in your exams. Why are you taking it out on us? You hate me, right? Fine. From now on, I won't say another word to you. Do whatever you want. Hikaru, let's go." Then she nudged Tadao. "And you too. Hikaru is your son too. If you don't go today, I'll divorce you." Tadao hesitated for a moment, then finally looked at me, coaxing, "Cage, go wash your face, change your clothes, and come with us, okay?" Another result like this, it always ends up with me being the one causing trouble. But this time, I wouldn't let her be happy. Doesn't Mom love Hikaru and value this daughter-in-law? Then I will make sure this wedding never happens. I shouted recklessly, "Mizuki is not a good person, she kissed me." As soon as these words were out, the whole family was shocked. Mom's eyes widened, and her lips trembled. Hikaru was also stunned, looking astonished. Tadao supported my shoulders, his voice weak. "Is what you're saying true? When she first came to our house on Christmas Day." I felt very guilty when I said this, but looking at Mom's devastated expression, a sense of vengeful pleasure welled up. Mom's face turned deathly pale, her body swaying, until she suddenly slumped against the grid next to her. She looked at me, unable to speak, just gasping for air. Hikaru's bag dropped to the floor, but he didn't even notice. He walked over quickly and grabbed me, his eyes wide. "Cage, you can't talk nonsense just because you're angry at Mom. How could that happen on Christmas Day? She was with us the whole time, and even at night, the two of us slept together. Where would she have the opportunity to?" "She did kiss me." I shook off his hand and stepped back, looking at the three of them. "That night, brother, you were sleeping very soundly. She came in, and you had no idea. Not only did she kiss me, she also touched me." "Kage!" Hikaru suddenly shouted hysterically. "Do you dare to take responsibility for what you just said?" I was startled by my usually gentle brother's sudden outburst of anger, and my hands clenched into fists involuntarily. Whether it was a dream or reality that night didn't matter anymore. As long as I insisted that Mizuki had kissed me, regardless of whether she did it or not, she would become a pervert who molested a little boy. But do I really want to frame Mizuki-san, who was so good to my brother, good to my parents, and even quite nice to me? Last time I fought with Mom and ran away, she gave me her own coat to wear. When I hurt my knee, she bought me medicine. This time, she even bought me such an expensive New Year's gift. Do I really want to ruin her and my brother's wonderful marriage just because of a fit of anger at Mom? Can I really take responsibility for the consequences of this statement? Just as I hesitated, Mom saw the clues. She regained her energy, pushed past Hikaru and Tadao, rushed up, waved her hand, and slapped me against the wall, then started hitting me wildly. "How can you be so vicious? Such shameless lies. Mizuki is about to marry Hikaru. She isn't blind, why would she take a fancy to you? How are you better than your brother? You're just jealous of Hikaru, and you have to destroy his lifetime of happiness." I also exploded, defending myself and fighting back while crying, "I'm not jealous of Hikaru. I just hate you. You don't care about me at all." To you, I only have suppression and belittlement. You don't care about my grievances at all. Yes, I lied. I wanted to slander your good daughter-in-law. I want you to think of what I said today every time you see her in the future. I want to stick a thorn in your hearts that you can never pull out. Mom and I continued to tear at each other. Tadao stepped up to break us apart, while Hikaru watched coldly from the side. During the struggle, I pulled on Mom's necklace. She felt it and quickly covered her neck, stepping back. But it was too late. With all my pent-up grievances and hatred, I gave it a hard pull. The necklace snapped. The pearls broke free in the air, clattering onto the floor one by one, scattering in all directions. Mom was left with only a few pearls and the broken chain in her hand. She looked down at the pearls all over the floor, then at the broken chain in her hand, and slowly looked up. She looked at me with an expression that wished she could crush my bones to dust, which sent a chill down my spine. Tadao saw that I had snapped Mom's beloved necklace and was also dumbstruck, only recovering after a long while. He was just about to speak when Mom threw the broken chain on the ground, took a deep breath, and said to my dad, word for word, "You don't have to go today. I'll go with Hikaru myself. From now on, I'll consider that I don't have a son like you." Bang! The door was slammed shut. Mom and Hikaru left. The sound of distant firecrackers outside only made the house seem deathly silent. I sat on the floor, sobbing from the beating Mom had given me. Tadao pulled me up, wiping the tears from my face, his voice sounding like he was sleepwalking. "Tell Dad, did Mizuki really bully you?" "I don't know." Tears wiped away and fell again. I shook my head blankly. At this moment, my brain was filled with all the words Mom had scolded me with. She called me vicious and shameless, said I wasn't as good as my brother, said I was jealous of him, and that she didn't want me anymore. Tadao sent me back to my room. He didn't hit or scold me, just tidied my hair and left, saying, "Calm down first," before closing the door. Then he started talking on the phone with Mom outside. Because he kept his voice very low, I didn't hear clearly, but I faintly heard a few sentences. "You must ask clearly. It can't be left like this. I believe Kei-Gay. I won't agree to this marriage until things are made clear." After hanging up, he started sweeping up the pearls on the floor, then went to the kitchen to get busy. Not long after, he knocked on my door, his voice as usual. "Kajay, come out to eat. Dad cooked milk glutinous rice balls for you." Hearing his words, I felt even more pain. Clearly I have a dad who treats me so well. Why do I always care more about Mom's attitude toward me? If she favors Hikaru, let her favor him. If it weren't for my own greed and insistence, things wouldn't have turned out like this. I walked out. Tadao used a hot towel to wipe my face, then led me to the dining table and handed me a spoon. "Eat." I looked at the glutinous rice balls and poached eggs in the bowl, tears streaming down. Tadao sat beside me, wiping my tears, his tone without the slightest blame. "Don't cry. Eat some glutinous rice balls first." I barely stopped crying and asked him, "You don't blame me?" Tadao sighed. "If this matter is true, your mother and I will definitely get to the bottom of it. If you were just saying it in the heat of the moment to anger your mother, then you will have to apologize to your brother and Mizuki." I picked up the spoon and started eating the poached egg first. Seeing me eating in such a rush, Tadao couldn't help but say, "Eat slowly. No one is fighting you for it." I paused, putting down the spoon. That's right, Mom isn't home. Tadao's expression was visibly stiff for a moment. Then he lowered his head to eat his own bowl of glutinous rice balls. I noticed he kept sniffing, so I asked him, "Dad, are you crying?" Tadao looked up, his eyes red, and smiled at me. "The glutinous rice balls are too hot," I said, then blow on them before eating. After finishing the glutinous rice balls, I took the initiative to wash the bowls. After coming out, Tadao shook the red envelope in his hand. "Did you forget something for the first day of the new year?" Although I wasn't in the mood, I still gathered my spirits to wish my dad a happy new year. Tadao handed me the red envelope, then invited me to watch the rerun of the New Year Gala together. I sat beside him, opening the red envelope to look. It was double the amount of previous years. Mom would definitely not give me a red envelope this year. It would be a miracle if she didn't beat me to death. Dad must have given me Mom's portion as well. I put the red envelope in my pajama pocket and accidentally touched the jade bracelet. Fortunately, the pocket was deep. Even with Mom tearing at me earlier, It hadn't chipped. I took out the bracelet and handed it to Dad. "I don't want this anymore." Tadao nodded, handing me a bag of honey walnuts. "After you went to sleep yesterday, some of the skits were quite interesting. Especially that Hao Jian one." I took the bag and rested on his shoulder, eating while watching the singing and dancing show. As for Mizuki's side, whether they were coming to settle accounts or apologize, as long as Dad was with me, I wasn't afraid. The waiting time was very long. Finally, Tadao's phone rang. I saw the caller ID was an unknown number. Tadao answered it. Mizuki's voice came from the other side. "Hello, Uncle." Tadao was clearly a bit nervous, but seeing me beside him, he became even more nervous. He steadied himself and said, "It's me. Since you made this call, I assume her mother has already spoken to you about it, right?" "Yes." "Then what is your answer?" Mizuki didn't answer directly. "I would like to meet with Kage. Of course, you can listen in too." I immediately shook my head. I didn't have the courage to confront her face to face. I had been a bit afraid of her since the first time I met her. Tadao said, "It would be better if you don't meet for the time being. If it's inconvenient to say over the phone, we can arrange to meet somewhere outside. I want to hear what explanation you have for this." Mizuki said, "There is nothing inconvenient. I can answer right now. I know nothing about this." But Kate wouldn't lie for no reason. "Forgive my frankness, Uncle. But rather than suspecting me, you should care more about Kate's state. I've heard that he has been under a lot of academic pressure lately and doesn't have a good relationship with Aunt. If he needs psychological counseling, I can recommend an expert." This was already a subtle way of saying my brain was sick. Tadao only considered this possibility after being reminded by her and couldn't help but stutter. "This. His state is indeed not good, but he wouldn't say such things." Mizuki's voice remained calm and steady. "Whether you seek counseling or call the police, I will cooperate." She paused and continued. "My engagement to Hikaru has been canceled." Tadao was dumbstruck. "Ah? Canceled? Wait until you have completely dispelled your doubts about me before putting this matter back on the agenda. Wish you and Cage a happy new year." After saying this, Mizuki simply hung up the phone. Tadao looked at me with the disconnected phone, at a loss. I knew he was afraid. He had been submissive to Mom's tyranny for a decade or two. Although he stood tall for a moment to protect me, now that he had ruined Hikaru's engagement, thinking about Mom's rage when she came back later, he must have been scared out of his wits. Just as we were both feeling miserable and not knowing what to do, the sound of the door opening came from outside. Mom returned alone. She clearly already knew about the cancellation of the engagement. Upon entering, she didn't even bother to look at us, walked straight into the bedroom and started packing. Tadao quickly went in and asked, "Where is Hikaru?" Mom said coldly, "Get out of my face." Tadao asked, a bit embarrassed but worried, "What are you packing for?" Mom said, "Just seeing you two makes me sick." After she finished packing, she pulled the suitcase out, and without even looking at me as she passed through the living room, she walked straight out. I sat slumped on the sofa, my hands and feet icy cold. Tadao came out to comfort me. "Your mom, she's in a bad mood. It's fine for her to stay at your brother's place for a few days. She can also take care of him." I really destroyed it all with one sentence. The cancellation of Hikaru and Mizuki's engagement had fulfilled the wish of hurting Mom, but I couldn't be happy at all. I just felt despondent and ashamed. Tadao hesitated for a moment, sat beside me, and said to me in a negotiating tone, "In a few days when the hospital opens, shall Dad take you to see a psychiatrist?" I said, "Okay." Thinking about the things I did today, it really wasn't something a normal person would do. Maybe I was really crazy. Is Mom really not coming back? Dad called her, saying people would gossip if a family didn't go visit relatives together during the new year. But Mom wouldn't even respond. So on the second day of the new year, Dad could only take me to visit relatives. There were only two families. On Dad's side, there was an older brother, big uncle, and an older sister, aunt. Mom's side had no one. The big uncle and aunt lived in the suburbs. Their families weren't strapped for cash, but were both very stingy. Every year during the holidays, we were the only ones bringing them gifts. Not only did they never invite us for a meal, but the gifts they returned were not as good as the ones we brought. Mom didn't like visiting these two relatives before, but Dad said that his parents died early when he was a child, and thanks to Big Uncle and Aunt raising him, otherwise he would have died. Mom scoffed at this. They divided your parents, house and land, yet didn't leave you a penny. Isn't it expected that they raised you? This year, my father and I went to Big Uncle's house first, and then to Aunt's house. Dad gave out 5 or 6 red envelopes, but they only returned 2. They still used the old excuse. Your eldest son didn't come to pay New Year greetings, so we won't give any. I used to get angry because of this. Why should we not get a red envelope just because Hikaru didn't come? Then Dad would persuade me, it only happens once a year, just a few $100s, don't fuss over it. This time, I wasn't in the mood to get angry over red envelopes. I didn't even bother to open them, just shoved them into my pocket as soon as I received them. After getting home, I found Dad was deep in thought. Dad, what's wrong with you? Dad smiled. Nothing, don't worry about it. I remembered that when visiting for New Year greetings, the adults of those 2 families had avoided me and whispered with Dad for a while. At first, I thought they were persuading Mom to come back, but looking at their expressions, it didn't look like it, so I asked, what did Big Uncle and Aunt talk to you about? Oh, nothing much. They wouldn't be asking you to borrow money, would they? Dad was stunned. You heard? I guessed. This dad of mine really couldn't hide his thoughts. Since I had already guessed, Dad told me everything. It was indeed that matter. Your oldest cousin is getting married this year. But the woman won't marry unless they have both a house and a car. The house already has a down payment paid, but they are short $50,000 or $60,000 for the car. Your oldest cousin, female, is preparing for a second marriage this year, and your aunt intends to add a bit more dowry for her, so she wouldn't be looked down upon by her in-laws, but she's also tight on money. I said unhappily, if you don't have money, then don't marry. It's already so difficult for Big Uncle to buy a car and house for one son. Are those other 2 cousins going to ask us to borrow money too? When the oldest cousin got married the year before last, Aunt said she had no money to add to the dowry. You hid it from Mom and added to it for her, and even gave her a big red envelope, which made Mom angry. Our family also needs money. The mortgage isn't paid off yet. Hikaru is also this year. At this point, I shut my mouth. Hikaru's engagement this year had already been ruined by me. Tadao sighed because of what I said. I know, but they are my own brother and sister, and there are my own nephew and niece after all. I said unconvinced, aren't Hikaru and I your own sons? If you have so much money, why not buy me an Apple computer? Tadao smiled bitterly. Want an Apple computer? Let's buy one when you get into university, okay? Let's not talk about this. What do you want to eat for lunch? I continued to feel indignant. Look, they didn't even want to treat us to a meal. How can they have the nerve to borrow money from you? Tadao tapped the back of my head lightly. Enough, don't be unforgiving. Both families are worried about money. How can they care about us? Let's have mutton hot pot. I followed Dad to the kitchen and helped him prepare the scallions and garlic. While busy, I asked Dad uneasily, do you really think I'm mentally unstable? Tadao said, what nonsense. You're just under too much pressure. Don't think too much, let the doctor check, and see when the time comes, it's no big deal. If I'm not sick, does that mean I have to apologize to Hikaru and Mizuki? That goes without saying. Tadao smiled at me. Dad will go with you to apologize. When Mom wasn't home, Dad and I lived quite leisurely. We didn't have to be cautious all day long, fearing that doing something wrong would lead to being scolded. But this leisure felt like the final meal before execution. Thinking that there would eventually be a day for final settlement, neither of us could feel happy. On the 7th day of the new year, the clinic opened. Dad took me to the hospital. It was my first time at the hospital for psychological problems. I thought I would go to the Department of Psychology, but the consultation desk told us to register for the Department of Psychiatry. Looking at the word psychiatry on the registration form, I felt even more like I was sick. There weren't many people coming to the psychiatry department during the new year. When we arrived, the doctor was seeing patients, and the room was very lively. From time to time, sounds of sobbing and angry shouting came out, making me feel very unsettled. Finally, a girl younger than me, with red and swollen eyelids, was pulled out of the clinic by her parents. That father looked fierce, poking the girl's head hard with his finger repeatedly. Did I stop you from eating or drinking? All day long you think about weird things, making yourself depressed. You're just full and bored. Do you know how expensive one consultation is? You dead girl, you won't even let me have a happy day. Anyway, you're not striving, you don't need to go to school anymore. Go out and work. The girl's mother saw Dad and me watching them and reached out to pull her husband. Lower your voice, we'll talk at home if there's anything. The man threw her off and roared. What kind of broken home is this? Is this even a home? I told you to look after the child at home and leave everything else to me. But you actually managed to look after the child until he became mentally ill. Both of you, get out. I don't want to see you people anymore. He strode away. The wife, having been scolded, but afraid to vent her anger on her husband, jerked the girl, stumbling her with an expression of hatred for iron not turning into steel, bitter disappointment. The girl seemed unfazed by this, following them silently. This scene terrified me. The way this man yelled was just like Mom. Mom already disliked me. If I were diagnosed with a mental illness, would she just abandon me and take this opportunity to divorce Tadao? Thinking back to how resolutely she left on New Year's Day without even looking at me, I was so panicked I didn't even hear the nurse calling me. Keige, it's our turn, Tadao reminded me. Sitting in the chair, my legs felt powerless. Let's go back. Tadao comforted me. Don't be afraid. Whether you are sick or not, you are still my son. Dad, I'm sorry. I couldn't hold it together anymore and confessed through tears. I lied. I deceived you on purpose. The nurse walked over and tentatively called out, Keiichi? Tadao held my hand. We aren't seeing the doctor. Then he helped me up. Let's go. In the hospital garden, I told Tadao everything. On the day Mizuki-san came to our house, I had a dream. Mom always said I wasn't as good as Hikaru, so I wanted to ruin his marriage to make Mom suffer. I'm sorry, Dad. I know I was wrong. I was really wrong. I will go apologize to Hikaru and Mizuki-san. Please don't let you and Mom get a divorce or abandon me. By the end, I was sobbing uncontrollably. Tadao stood silently. After I finished, he looked up at the sky and sighed deeply, then raised his hand. I instinctively flinched, thinking he was going to hit me. But he didn't. His hand fell onto my shoulder and patted it gently. You've had a rough time lately, haven't you? I had been suppressing my tears, but Tadao's words triggered all my accumulated grievances. I buried my face in his chest and wailed. Yes, I committed a grave mistake, but I was pushed to this point by Mom. If all the blame is placed solely on me, I truly feel wronged. Tadao kept patting my back until I cried myself out. He then spoke. Kage, call Hikaru and Mizuki now. Shall we go apologize together? I sobbed and nodded. Will Mom be going too? If she wants to go, she can. We'll talk about our family matters later. Tadao called Hikaru first, but Kiyomi answered. She said coldly, Hikaru is sick. I need to take care of him. I don't have time to deal with you two. Apologize to whoever you want. Tadao asked, how did Hikaru get sick? What illness? Is it serious? Kiyomi's words were laced with thorns. You never treated him as your son. Why are you pretending to be a good father now? Tadao countered. Did you treat Keige as your son? If you hadn't provoked him, would he have said things like that? Kiyomi laughed on the other end of the line. Oh, now you're blaming me? Did I teach him to say those shameless things? I don't have the ability to discipline your son, so keep him for yourself. Also, if Hikaru can't marry Mizuki, I'm divorcing you. Tadao said, I will do my best to make up for the mess Keige caused. You shouldn't always hang the word divorce on your lips. It's not a threat to me. Kiyomi shouted on the phone. You want a divorce? I'll be waiting for the good news. She hung up. I asked anxiously, Dad, you aren't really going to divorce Mom, are you? Tadao smiled at me. Of course not. We were just trading barbs. Don't think too much about it. He then called Mizuki. Surprisingly, she was polite and didn't say anything harsh. When Tadao asked to treat her to dinner, she agreed. Afterwards, Tadao and I spent the afternoon drafting how to apologize. Before leaving, Tadao even brought the jade bracelet, intending to return it. This gift is too heavy. I cannot bear it. In the evening, we arrived early at a high-end restaurant we wouldn't usually visit, picking a quiet corner. While we were nervous, Mizuki arrived. She had been working overtime and was wearing a long coat, the same one she had draped over me last time. I felt like the wolf in the story of Dong Guo and the wolf, or the snake and the farmer and the snake. Simply the kind of wretch who returns kindness with ingratitude. If I could do it over, I would rather die than say those things. She sat opposite us. When Tadao asked her to order, she did. Learning we hadn't ordered yet, She helped us too. Once the waiter left, Tadao said remorsefully, "Mizuki, I am truly sorry. Kage has admitted that he lied. It's my fault for not disciplining him properly. I am very sorry." Tadao lowered his head, and I followed suit. "Mizuki-san, I'm sorry. I know I was wrong. I will never do that again. I've caused you a lot of trouble and ruined your engagement to Hikaru. I truly regret it. Please, give me a chance to make amends, will you?" "Okay, I accept your apology." Although I speculated from our past interactions that she wouldn't hold a grudge, I didn't expect her to be so straightforward. I immediately looked up at her with hope. "Mizuki-san, Hikaru is sick and only Mom is taking care of him. Dad and I want to visit, but we're afraid she'll be angry. If you go talk to her about re-engaging, she will be very happy." Mizuki replied, "Engagement is impossible." Hikaru and I were both stunned. Tadao asked, "Now that the misunderstanding is cleared up, why won't you engage?" Mizuki's tone was flat, as if discussing someone else's affairs. "Because Hikaru broke up with me yesterday." "Hikaru broke up with her?" The meal arrived. Mizuki saw we were both dumbfounded and had no intention of eating, so she said, "We didn't break up solely because of Kage. There are other reasons. You don't need to blame yourselves. Eat." Then she picked up her knife and expertly cut her steak. But Tadao and I were in a whirl of complex emotions. We couldn't eat. Mizuki finished cutting her steak and slid the plate to me. I looked at the plate, tears dripping onto the tablecloth. Even after we had fallen out, she was still so considerate, yet I had been so despicable and shameless, tearing Hikaru and her apart. I had even intentionally snapped the necklace she gave Mom. Tadao took out the jade bracelet and placed it on the table. "Also, we cannot accept this. It's too expensive. Since you and Hikaru have broken up, we will certainly repay the value of the other gifts you gave us." Mizuki said, "No need, uncle. There's no logic in returning a gift once given. Although Hikaru and I have broken up, at that time I truly considered you family. Please respect my intentions from that time." Family. This word pained me more than Mom's abuse. Tadao said, "But we..." She interrupted his eating again. She put down her knife and said, "Let this matter end here. If there is nothing else, I will leave." She stood up, walked to my side, and slid the bracelet back onto my wrist. "It suits you well." Then she nodded slightly to Tadao. "Goodbye, uncle." She walked away without looking back. The bracelet on my wrist was cool, flowing with a dim light under the ambient lamps. Tadao and I didn't eat much. We walked out of the restaurant dejectedly. Since it was only one stop away from Hikaru's place, Tadao bought some fruit and snacks to visit. Once downstairs, I was afraid of seeing him or Mom arguing, so I didn't go up. Tadao told me to wait downstairs. A while later, he came down looking devastated. I asked, "How is Hikaru?" Tadao said, "Your mom wouldn't even let me in. She threw the stuff out, but I left it at the door. I'll come back another day." I asked worriedly, "You and Mom won't divorce, right?" "We won't. We've spent a lifetime together. You start school tomorrow, so don't worry about these things. Don't let it affect your studies." Despite his words, a thought sprouted in my heart. I must make Hikaru and Mizuki reconcile. Although Mizuki was lenient with me, their breakup was entirely my fault. I couldn't just apologize and act as if nothing happened. As soon as we reached home, we met Hina Tanaka at the door, who was about to ring the doorbell. As soon as Hina Tanaka saw us, she said joyfully, "Uncle Tadao, Kage, Happy New Year, Happy New Year." Tadao quickly opened the door. "Why are you here so late?" "Here to bring you gifts." Hina Tanaka followed us inside. "We just got back this morning. I slept until now due to jet lag." "Where is Auntie?" Tadao said, "Hikaru is sick, so she went to take care of him." "Hikaru's illness isn't serious, right?" "Not serious, just a cold." Tadao looked at the bags and boxes Hina Tanaka had piled on the table with a helpless expression. "Why did you buy so many things?" "Isn't it my first time abroad? I just bought a bit of everything. Some snacks, some toys." As she spoke, she turned to look at me. "Why are you so quiet? Are you so excited to see me that you can't speak?" I forced a smile. "Yeah, excited. You didn't even tell me you were coming back." "I wanted to surprise you. Go see if you like them. If not, we can exchange them." Hina Tanaka's smile was so open and honest that I felt incredibly miserable. If I hadn't done that stupid thing, I don't know how happy I would be to see her now. Hina Tanaka wasn't a fool. Seeing the gloomy faces of my dad and me, plus Mom not being home, she roughly guessed that our new year had been chaotic. She made an excuse that she was hungry and needed a midnight snack, shooed my dad to the kitchen, then pulled me back to my room and whispered, "What happened?" I didn't say what I had done, only that Mizuki and Hikaru had broken up. Hina Tanaka said, "Oh, I see. I also thought it was too hasty for them to get engaged after dating for only half a year. You probably don't even know Mizuki's family situation yet, right? This is for the best. Take it slow and get to know each other more. If they are truly meant to be, they will surely get back together." Her logic gave me hope. Can they really be together again? Of course, but it mainly depends on them. Hina Tanaka looked me up and down. "Hikaru ni is the one who broke up. Why are you so haggard?" "I feel like my parents are going to divorce." Hina Tanaka was stunned. "Why?" "I told you before we were supposed to meet Mizuki's family on New Year's Day. I fought with Mom that day, and it didn't go. Tadao didn't go either because he had to look after me. After that, Hikaru's engagement was canceled." Mom was very angry and took her luggage to Hikaru's place. She also said if Hikaru couldn't get engaged to Mizuki, she would divorce Tadao. "It's all my fault." Hina Tanaka comforted me. "Don't take everything upon yourself. Maybe the breakup happened because there were already issues between Hikaru and her. Your argument just happened to coincide with it. Besides, what couple hasn't talked about divorce in a fight? My parents say that when they argue too." I was a bit skeptical. "Your fairy tale family argues too?" Hina Tanaka was adamant. "Who hasn't bickered? Stop worrying so much. Your dad has such a good temper, they won't divorce." "Oh, I smell something. Food is ready, let's go out and eat." Although the situation hadn't changed, her words made me feel much better. Since the three of us hadn't eaten much that evening, Tadao opened the gifts from Hina Tanaka's parents as a midnight snack. If we didn't want to eat them, we could just heat them up for breakfast. After Hina Tanaka had her fill, my dad gave her 2 more red envelopes before she left, shouting "Gong Shie Fakai" all the way. We cleaned up and went to the living room to unwrap the gifts she brought back. Inside the bag were 2 red envelopes from her parents for me. Tadao took out the envelopes and sighed with a bitter smile. Sigh. This family. Looking at the red envelopes, I seemed to see the kind and benevolent smiles of her parents. If they knew I did something so insane, would they still be this kind to me? Why was I so possessed by a desire to win that I had to be so petty? Guilt was useless. I had to find a way to make amends. School started tomorrow. We were boarding students. Tadao was packing my things in the room. I quietly walked to the living room, unlocked his phone, memorized Mizuki's number, and put the phone back. Although Hikaru wasn't showy, he was a very strong-willed person. Since he was the one who broke up with Mizuki, even for the sake of his ego, he would never eat the grass he had already trampled. I wouldn't let them miss out like this. Mom still hadn't returned by the time school started. I sent a message to Hikaru expressing my apologies and concern for his illness. Hikaru didn't reply. A man who is usually so calm had been angered to such an extent by me. I was almost thankful that I was still in school. I could hide there to escape reality. The first day of school had no classes, just self-study. But since it was senior year, they were laughing and joking in the morning self-study session. But by the afternoon, everyone was silent, writing furiously. After the evening study, I collapsed on my bed the moment I got to the dormitory. The full day of self-study had hollowed me out. I didn't want to move a finger. A few roommates returned and, seeing me, asked, "Kage, what did Hina Tanaka bring you from abroad?" Hina Tanaka bought gifts for all the students she knew, mostly local tourist souvenirs. What she gave me wasn't in the same league as what she gave them. Unwrapping the bag last night, apart from the souvenirs everyone got, there were various sweets and chocolates. I don't know if it was because we hadn't met in years, but Satomi-san had actually sent me an LV wallet. But I couldn't say that. It would feel like I was showing off. I sat up and mumbled, "About the same as yours." A roommate laughed and patted me. "How could it be the same? Based on your friendship, she must have bought you lots of good things." I forced a laugh. "Just a few more snacks than you guys." Li Hao was sitting across from me, silently soaking his feet. He had received a little White House figurine today. He was so happy when he first got it, unwilling to put it down. That's because everyone else received things like commemorative badges and keychains. But afterward, he noticed another boy had also received this figurine. He immediately threw it into his drawer and was unhappy for the rest of the day. I wasn't in the mood to comfort him and lay back down. I even felt I had made a mistake by trying to play matchmaker for them. Hina Tanaka didn't have any interest in him at all. Otherwise, she wouldn't have left him at the movie theater. She wouldn't have bought him the same thing as everyone else. And Lai himself didn't put in any effort, always wanting me to create opportunities. Although I promised, I wasn't happy about it. I am a selfish person. Hina Tanaka is my closest friend. I don't want to let her go to anyone. I wouldn't ask, who is more important, me or your boyfriend? When she had a boyfriend, I would sensibly keep my distance from her. I wouldn't make them feel awkward, but if she left her boyfriend to accompany me, I would be very happy. Thinking from Hina Tanaka to the Tanaka family, I couldn't help but think of Mom and my sick Hikaru-ni. My mood grew heavy again. How could I ever let this go? I sent a greeting to Hikaru, but even when the lights went out, I hadn't received a reply. Fine, don't reply. I sent it anyway. Having done something wrong, one must have an attitude of apology. Once he felt better and his mood calmed down, I would go to him and be scolded. Going now would only get me kicked out by Mom. Speaking of Mom, I couldn't help but think of that pearl necklace. Tadao said the pearls had all been recovered. They were taken to a jewelry store today to be restrung. I wonder if they're finished. I mindlessly scrolled on my phone, preparing to sleep. A dialogue box suddenly popped up. I am Mizuki. I bit my lip and sat up abruptly. Yesterday, I had secretly memorized her number, found her social media account, and requested to add her as a friend. She hadn't responded, and I thought she was fed up with me and never wanted to see me again. I didn't expect her to accept my request today. It seems she still has feelings for Hikaru. When two people with feelings have a conflict, as long as one side softens, the other can't keep acting aloof for long. Hikaru had been chased by girls his whole life, but Mizuki was the only one he ever brought home. Although he didn't say it, he was very satisfied with her. Since their breakup was caused by my interference, I had to be the one to bridge the gap. It's almost time for the entrance exam. If Hikaru hates me, I'll go to a university far away so they don't have to see me. When Hikaru is better, Mom will be better too and won't argue with Tadao about divorce. As long as I'm not here, this family will be perfect. Facing Mizuki's dialogue box, my hands were trembling with nervousness. Tentatively, I typed, "Not asleep yet, Mizuki-san," she replied quickly. "Not yet." "Because of work?" I typed. "You've worked so hard." Then I felt that was a pointless, insipid thing to say and deleted it. I changed it to something bold. "Can you make up with Hikaru?" She didn't reply after I sent that. I quickly explained, "This is all my fault. I shouldn't have been so bad. But I really don't want you and Hikaru to break up. Hikaru is very happy when he's with you. But Hikaru is sick now and won't talk to me either. I could only say this to you. Mizuki-san, will you go find Hikaru?" After sending this, I waited nervously for a reply. What if she blocks me? Luckily, she didn't. She replied, "Okay, I will go see him. It's very late, sleep now." She agreed. I kicked my legs in excitement under the covers. An upper bunk roommate threw a pillow down. "What time is it? Don't you want people to sleep?" I hugged the pillow tightly, kissed it, and rolled back and forth. I had been tormented by anxiety and sleeplessness since New Year's Day, but tonight, I could finally sleep peacefully. One really shouldn't do wrong. Over the next few days, I would strike up conversations every night to chat with Mizuki, probing to see how far she and Hikaru had recovered. Mizuki also answered my questions. She said she visited Hikaru. Mom let her into the house, but Hikaru still refused to see her. I said maybe Hikaru is still angry. Tadao and I will go to his house this Sunday to apologize to him in person. Wait until he's in a better mood before you go. Okay, you rest early. MMHMM. You too. Good night, Mizuki-san. Putting down my phone, I sighed deeply. Although I love my face/reputation, what does it matter to lose face in front of my own family? As long as I can make the broken mirror reflect again, even kneeling to ask for forgiveness, I'll accept it. After the Saturday night study session ended, I shouldered my bag and prepared to go home. Coincidentally, Hina Tanaka was also going back this week, so we walked together. On the way, Hina Tanaka asked, "Kage, have you decided which university to go to?" I said, "Wherever I get accepted, I'll go. Being with you would be best. What about you? Still imperial politics and law?" Hina Tanaka said, "Not necessarily." "Don't you want to be a lawyer? Imperial Politics and Law is the Whampoa Military Academy of the legal world. If you don't take the entrance exam there, where else would you go? She walked with her head down for a while and said, Actually... Just then, a car pulled up in front of us. Before I could react, Hina Tanaka recognized it first. Isn't this Hikaru Ni's girlfriend's car? I said, How is that possible? The window lowered, and I turned my head to look. Oh my, it really is! Mizuki nodded at the two of us and said, Get in, Keige. I have something to discuss with you. Okay. It must be about Hikaru. I opened the passenger door, sat in, and waved at Hina Tanaka. You go home first. I'll visit your place when I have time tomorrow. Hina Tanaka frowned. What's so urgent at this time of night? Are you guys going home or going out? I'll tell Tadao. Don't worry about it. Hey, Kage. Before Hina Tanaka could finish, Mizuki had already rolled up the window and driven off. Once in the car, I fastened my seatbelt and asked her, Mizuki-san, you aren't taking me to Hikaru Ni's place at this hour, are you? No, I'm taking you to see the wedding house. It's almost finished being renovated, I asked curiously. You haven't told Hikaru yet? No. If Hikaru knew she had already bought the wedding house, even if not 100%, he would at least be 70% likely to forgive her, right? How could she hold back until now without saying a word? She drove steadily. It might take some time. Tell your dad. Oh, right, almost forgot. I called Tadao. Mizuki-san is picking me up. I'll be home later. Tadao was baffled. Why is she picking you up at this hour? Of course, it's about Hikaru. Don't worry. Tadao's tone was hesitant. Give the phone to Mizuki, I want to ask her. I held the phone up to Mizuki's ear. Mizuki tilted her head slightly toward the phone and said, Hello, Uncle. She didn't mention the wedding house to my dad, only saying she wanted to ask me about some things concerning Hikaru, and that she would send me home in an hour. Tadao wasn't happy, but afraid of offending her. He had no choice but to agree. The car sped along and finally arrived at a brand new high-end residential complex. The property brochure made me gasp. Whether installments or full payment, the prices here were something I couldn't even dream of. Is a low-level manager at a Fortune 500 company this rich? The complex had just been completed and the occupancy rate wasn't high. After driving in, we didn't see many lit windows along the way. As Mizuki and I stood in the elevator, listening to it rise and looking at Mizuki's reflection on the door, my heart suddenly skipped a beat. She couldn't be planning to kill me in the wedding house, could she? Once this thought occurred, the more I thought about it, the more real and terrifying it became. The night was dark and windy. It was just the two of us, and I was the culprit who ruined her engagement to her boyfriend. If she really wanted to kill me, there would be no saving me by the time the police arrived. Just then, the elevator dinged. Mizuki stepped out first. Standing in the empty elevator, I nervously swallowed. If I want to run, now is the time. Otherwise, I can only regret it with my last breath. If only I hadn't stepped out of the elevator. But, to hell with it. When Hikaru sees my corpse, he will know how guilty I was. I stepped out of the elevator. The wedding house was on the 27th floor. 1 unit per floor. There was a glass corridor from the elevator to the front door, high enough to overlook the whole city. It was my first time standing in such a high place. I discovered I actually had a slight fear of heights and had to hold the handrail all the way to the door. Once inside, I couldn't help but go, wow. I admit, though, wow was a bit exaggerated, but I truly felt this house was big and beautiful. I don't understand styles, designs, or materials, but the first glance told me this was no different from a luxury mansion. If Hikaru saw this house, he would definitely stop being angry. The curtains were the exact color I had chosen. However, they seemed to be the ugliest thing in the house. Mizuki-san, too. She clearly has such good taste, so why did she let me pick the curtains? Did I pick the wrong ones? Mizuki turned on the air conditioner, took off her coat, and asked me quite naturally, I haven't had dinner yet. I'm going to cook now. How about you? Seeing she didn't seem like she wanted to kill me, and since I was hungry too, I sat down and said, I'll eat too. I'll eat whatever you cook. The wedding house was very new and lacked the atmosphere of living. Mizuki probably hadn't moved in yet. She only prepared some ingredients in the refrigerator and quickly made 2 dishes and a soup. I lowered my head to eat. I expected she would use the meal to ask about Hikaru, but she didn't say a single word throughout the meal. She said, I'll wash the dishes, handed the dishes to me, and went out with a drink. After washing the dishes, I turned around and found she had appeared at the kitchen door at some point, watching me silently. Oh my God, she scared me. I forced an awkward smile. Mizuki glanced at the kitchen knife. It was quite close to her. Could that meal have been my last meal before execution? Please no. Her cooking is so bland, I don't like it at all. Seeing my tension, she crushed the empty can in her hand, tossed it into the trash can beside me, turned around and said, "Time to go back." We're leaving already? Aren't we going to discuss Hikaru ni? She hadn't mentioned Hikaru a single time. Did she just bring me here to cook a midnight snack? Maybe she originally wanted to discuss Hikaru, but lost the mood after seeing me. Forget it, I won't ask. It's all my fault. Just like that, I went out and came home inexplicably. After returning, Tadao asked what we talked about. I said nothing. He didn't believe me. Is there something you said that even Dad can't know? I said, really, nothing. We just had a midnight snack. Why did she take you out for a snack? Don't you have anything else? Looking at me, this question reminded me of the wedding house. This I definitely couldn't say. This was something Mizuki was hiding even from Hikaru, and she didn't intend to tell Dad either. If I spoke now, no, I had to keep the secret. I kept my mouth shut and shook my head at Tadao. Tadao had no choice but to change the subject. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to see Hikaru. You come along too. Your brother's been sick for a week and isn't better yet. Your mom is just letting him lie there at home without taking him to a doctor. When we go, we must take Hikaru to the hospital. We can't let a minor illness drag on into a major one. Okay, Dad, has Mom's necklace been repaired? It's fixed. Should I bring it to Mom tomorrow? I need to apologize to her as well. That's fine, but don't talk back when she scolds you. After all, this time. I know, I won't talk back. Whether she wants to hit or scold me, I'll take it. But if she goes too far, you must pull her back. Tadao patted my head. Okay, I won't let her hit you. Really, I was truly doubtful. Although Tadao usually protects me, he can never pull her back whenever Kiyomi decides to hit me. Just like on New Year's Day, Kiyomi had me wailing in agony and he could only watch helplessly from the side. I thought of another potential disaster. By the way, Tadao, you didn't lend money to Uncle and Aunt, did you? Tadao immediately avoided my gaze and said guiltily, "They were in such a hurry. So You lent it to them? How much?" Tadao's eyes darted around. 20,000 each. Did you get an IOU? We're family, why would we need an IOU? I gasped. Great, 40,000 yen lent out without an IOU is basically money down the drain. Kiyomi was already angry at me and worried about Hikaru. If she finds out Tadao lent money to relatives, she'll be miserable. It's the new year and no one in this family gives her peace of mind. I started to feel sorry for her. The next morning, Tadao bought groceries, flowers, and fruit, and took me to visit Hikaru. While I was at school, Tadao had been visiting Hikaru's place every day. At first, Kiyomi wouldn't let him in, but since she's a bad cook and didn't want the sick Hikaru to keep eating takeout, she eventually let him in to cook. When she opened the door and saw me, her face turned black as a pot. "Why are you here?" I steeled myself and walked in, asking ingratiatingly, "Where's Hikaru ni?" Kiyomi looked at me with eyes like knives. Only after Tadao tugged at her did she say reluctantly, "He's lying in the room. I'll go look for him." I rushed toward Hikaru's room, feeling that if I stayed under Kiyomi's gaze for one more second, she would slap me. The bedroom door wasn't locked. A wave of stagnant, humid, and stuffy air hit me in the face. Hikaru was lying on the bed with his back to me, playing on his phone, curled up in his quilt. The table was a mess with unsealed medicine, and used tissues were everywhere. The trash can was overflowing, and no one had emptied it. Seeing Hikaru, who was usually so neat and sharp, looking like this, I felt my gut wrenching with regret. I stood by the bed and called softly, "Brother." Hikaru didn't make a sound, his fingers moving mechanically on the screen. I said, "How are you feeling? If you're uncomfortable, should we let Tadao take you to the hospital?" Hikaru still ignored me. "Brother, I'm sorry. Hit me. Scold me. Take all your anger out on me. Please, don't torture yourself like this." I pushed his shoulder, my nose beginning to sting. "I really know I was wrong. Please don't ignore me." Hikaru suddenly let out a laugh. I was stunned. He sat up and turned to look at me. His eye sockets were sunken from anxiety, making his eyes look extraordinarily large. "Cage, do I have a grudge against you?" I shook my head vigorously, tears falling. "No," he asked again. Have I ever done anything to wrong you? No. Do you like Mizuki? I was already ashamed to show my face. It's not like that. Hikaru leaned his face toward me and asked softly, then why did you want to ruin me? I couldn't look him in the eye. I just kept my head down and cried, I'm sorry, brother. I said those things just to make Kiyomi angry. I really regret it. Hikaru laughed again. His laughter made my back crawl, and I couldn't help but stop crying. Hikaru said, Cry. Why don't you keep crying? Isn't this your specialty? Being put on the spot like that, I actually couldn't cry anymore. I had come to apologize sincerely. If he had just vented his anger, I could have handled it. But this sarcastic tone was unbearable, as if I were some calculating person pretending to be pathetic. I wiped the tears from my face and stood straight. What do you mean by that? Hikaru looked up at me. In front of Mizuki, were you crying and apologizing like this too? She must have forgiven you by now, right? I know I did something stupid. Stupid? Haha. Hikaru laughed again. The anger, Kiyomi. To think you'd come up with a reason like that. She touched you, kissed you. Why didn't you say she slept with you? This made me angry too. If you don't believe me, you should at least believe Mizuki-san. Just because of one word from me, your engagement broke off. I don't think your relationship was that deep to begin with. After saying this, I wanted to bite my tongue. Wasn't I here to apologize? Why compete with him? Let him scold me if he wants. Sigh, a few insults won't kill me. Hikaru lowered his head and continued scrolling his phone. So, I have to thank you then. Our relationship was tested by a single word of yours. You're my great benefactor. Brother, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. Mizuki-san wants to reconcile with you. She cares about you a lot. I heard you're sick. Didn't she come to visit you? Why won't you see her? Hikaru's fingers didn't stop. So it was because she heard from you that she came? You two have quite a close relationship. He seemed convinced that Mizuki and I had an affair. Every sentence laced with sarcasm. Of course, Mizuki-san gets along well with Kiyomi and Tadao too, not just me. Besides, she's good to me because she likes you. I'm your younger brother. Hikaru didn't look up, but suddenly asked, Where is that jade bracelet? When I heard that, I instinctively felt I couldn't tell the truth, that I gave it back to her when I apologized. Hikaru put down his phone and stared straight at me. What did she say when you gave it back? Nothing. Tadao and I went to return it together. We said it was too valuable and we couldn't take it, so she took it back. Hikaru's expression softened somewhat. Is that so? Yes. It seems there's a problem with that bracelet. I must return it to Mizuki as soon as possible, and warn Tadao not to talk nonsense. Hikaru was no longer as hostile as before. He got up and said he wanted to take a shower. Hearing this, I was so grateful I could cry. I immediately busied myself finding him clean clothes, escorted him to the bathroom door, and cleaned his room while he showered. And Kiyomi Hikaru is sick, not her. How could she let his room become such a mess? No cleaning, no laundry, no cooking. Tadao and Kiyomi saw Hikaru come out and looked relieved. Kiyomi didn't glare at me anymore. Although I was busy as a dog, I was filled with happiness. Finally, the house felt like a home again. Hikaru's anger is terrifying. I dare not provoke him again. After he finished showering, Tadao had breakfast ready. For the first time since the new year, the family sat together for a meal. Although the atmosphere was still somewhat stiff, fortunately, Hikaru was responding to Tadao and Kiyomi. He still wouldn't talk to me. After the meal, Kiyomi urged Hikaru to take his medicine. Tadao and I went to clean the kitchen. I whispered to Tadao, Tadao, if Hikaru asks you about the jade bracelet, just tell him it's already been returned to Mizuki-san. Tadao asked, Why? Don't ask. In any case, he absolutely cannot know it's still with me. I'll go return it this afternoon and see her. Tadao frowned. Kage, you shouldn't be in too much contact with Mizuki. Hikaru hasn't calmed down yet. If he finds out, he'll hold another grudge. Or should I go return it? MMH, that's fine. Kiyomi walked out of Hikaru's room and saw us whispering. She immediately walked in and asked, What are you mumbling about again? Tadao, who isn't good at handling surprise situations, immediately stammered. I smiled broadly. Nothing much. Just wondering when you're coming home, Kiyomi. Tadao then caught on. Yes, when are you coming home? Since Hikaru is still on sick leave, why don't you bring him back with you? The kitchen here is too small. At home, I can cook more nutritious food for him to help him recover. Alright, let's go back then. Kiyomi reached out to Tadao. Where is my necklace? Tadao wiped his hands and took out the jewelry box from his pocket. Kiyomi took out the necklace, inspected it with satisfaction, and cast a glance at me. I lowered my head obediently. Kiyomi, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have pulled your necklace. I'll never dare to do it again. Kiyomi turned to look for a mirror. Tadao and I exchanged glances and let out a sigh of relief. Great. No beating, no scolding. After putting on the necklace, Kiyomi's spirit was visibly restored. She paced around the house, raising her voice, nitpicking this and that. When there was nothing else to say, she would pick on me. Tadao told her to keep her voice down and not to be so busy wearing the necklace. If Hikaru sees it, he'll just remember painful things. Although Kiyomi said, "Only you have so much to say," she still took the necklace off. After finishing with the kitchen, Tadao and Kiyomi both tried to persuade Hikaru to come home, but Hikaru refused. My cold is much better. I have to go to work tomorrow. Just resting at home today is fine. Don't worry about me. Why the rush to go to work? Take a few more days off and get your strength back. If you go back, it's more convenient for Tadao to take care of you. If you don't, he has to run back and forth every day to cook. Hikaru said helplessly. Then don't let Tadao come. It's very convenient to buy things and order takeout here. Whatever I want to eat, I'll buy. You guys go back too. You scrolling through phones and watching TV is too noisy and affects my rest. Kiyomi felt a bit embarrassed and argued, I'm just worried about you. I feel uneasy whenever things get quiet. Seeing Tadao and me looking at her helplessly, she immediately shifted the spearhead. What are you looking at? This is all caused by you two. Tadao and I quickly nodded. Yes. Her scrolling through phones and watching TV being too noisy. What does that have to do with us? Of course, there's no reasoning with a shrew. Shut up and take the blame. Since Hikaru wouldn't come home, Kiyomi had no choice but to go back alone. I pushed the suitcase behind Tadao and Kiyomi, listening to them discuss what to eat tonight. When Kiyomi left, she acted like someone abandoning her family, but now she was naturally linking arms with Tadao. It was as if nothing had happened these past few days, leaving me scared and crying for nothing. Hina Tanaka is experienced indeed. By the way, after separating from Hina Tanaka yesterday, she sent a message asking if I made it home. I pulled out my phone, saw it, and replied. But why is she so quiet today? Has she gone to school already? I texted her asking where she was. She replied quickly, at home. Are we going back to school together this afternoon? I said, I have something to do. I'll be back later. You go first. Are you going to see that woman from last night? That's my brother's girlfriend, my parents, daughter-in-law, our future sister-in-law. What? That woman? Speak more politely. Hina Tanaka asked, why did she look for you last night? I thought it shouldn't matter if I told Hina Tanaka about the wedding house. She's an outsider, and she knows the stakes and wouldn't tell Hikaru. So I told her everything about the wedding house and the jade bracelet. Thinking about it, I even told her the real reason for our family's New Year argument. She cares about me so much that keeping things from her feels unbearable. She didn't move after reading my confession of crimes. I started to feel uneasy. Did I get a bit carried away today? Although Kiyomi and Hikaru have forgiven me, it's probably the first time Hina Tanaka has seen me in such an ugly light. What if she starts to hate me and breaks off our friendship? Hina Tanaka didn't reply for a long time. I was getting anxious. After buying groceries and returning home, I said to Tadao and Kiyomi downstairs, I haven't visited Hina Tanaka's house since she got back. Tadao, Kiyomi, I'm going to visit Hina-san and her parents. Tadao said, why don't we go together later? They gave us so many things, I haven't had a chance to return the favor. Kiyomi asked, what did they give? Tadao said, lots of things. You'll see when you go back. Kiyomi clearly cared but pretended not to. What's there to see? It must all be cheap stuff. I stuck my tongue out at Kiyomi's bag. I really don't know where such hostility toward the Tanaka family comes from. Her parents are so good to me and have always been friendly to my family. What else is Kiyomi dissatisfied with? After returning home, Kiyomi went straight to the gifts. After checking them, she didn't say it was cheap stuff anymore, and she even ate the nuts they sent. Many of the gifts Mizuki brought when she came to see the parents at Christmas hadn't been unpacked yet. Tadao had already estimated the market price for 7 of them. In case of a falling out later, we can just return the money. We'll keep the items for ourselves. He went to take out a few boxes of good stuff. Kiyomi was checking the inventory on the side. Hey, why are there 2 fewer bottles of red wine? and 2 fewer cans of tea. Oh my, the gourmet set is gone too. She grabbed Tadao's sleeve. You took the gifts my daughter-in-law gave and gave them to your relatives? What kind of crooked melons or rotten shrimp did they give you in return? This year, did you even get a single sunflower seed back? Wow, so accurate. She knows Tadao's relatives too well. And this year, those 2 families not only didn't return a gift, but they also scammed 40,000 yen from Tadao. Tadao stammered, trying to make excuses for them. Kiyomi got angry and started pounding him. Shut up. Which year haven't we been the ones paying to go visit them? Every time you go, you act like a god of wealth, giving money and gifts. And those 2 families? They don't give anything if Hikaru doesn't go. In the red envelopes for Cage, I've never seen a red bill. One year, they even said they were following, Cantonese style, and only gave a piece of paper in each envelope. If you don't want to give, just don't take ours. Being that stingy, it's just unbelievable. No wonder no one is willing to marry into their family. Seeing the situation, I quickly hid in my room. Sigh, I'm sorry, Tadao, I can't protect myself, let alone help you share the fire. After a long scolding, Kiyomi finally felt better and told Tadao to take some good gifts to the Tanaka family. Tadao packed the good stuff and called me from outside. I went out and saw his expression was normal, secretly admiring him. As expected of Tadao, getting scolded and acting like nothing happened. His skin is as thick as ever. The Tanaka family had just finished lunch. When Hina-san's mother saw us arriving, she called Hina-san's father and Hina Tanaka out to greet us enthusiastically. Come in, come in. No need to change shoes. Liji, you are too polite. Why bring so many things? Oh my, Cage, my why are you so thin? Whenever I hear Hina-san's mother speak, I can't help but want to act spoiled with her. Auntie, I missed you so much. I also missed your cooking. If you want to eat, just come over. It's just adding an extra pair of chopsticks. Hina-san's mother hugged me and walked to the kitchen, first washing half a bowl of cherries for me to eat, then whispering while cutting cantaloupe. Your parents have made up, haven't they? But we argued about uncle and aunt again before coming. Kiyomi was sobbing uncontrollably. Hikaru walked over to support her and said somewhat awkwardly to Hina Tanaka, Tadao couldn't reach Kage's phone, so he went out to look for him and was hit by a drunk driver at an intersection. Hina Tanaka couldn't help but ask, if Tadao couldn't reach Kage, he should have called me, but I didn't receive any call. Kiyomi looked at her with tear-filled, hateful eyes. What do you mean? Are you saying it was unnecessary for his father to go out and look for his child? That's not it, Auntie. I just meant that even if Tadao went out to find Kage, you can't blame him entirely. Kiyomi didn't like Hina Tanaka to begin with, and this just added fuel to the fire. This is a family matter. An outsider like you shouldn't interfere. Why are you even here? Hina Tanaka's hand clutching me tightened. She was getting angry. Tadao is Kage's father. How could I not come when something happened to him? Kiyomi saw me silent in her arms and reached out to slap me. Stop playing dead and get out here. Don't you usually have your phone glued to your hand? Why was it out of power today? What did you two go off and do? Just as Hina Tanaka's parents arrived, they witnessed this scene. Hina's father quickly pulled Kiyomi away, while Hina's mother shielded me and Hina Tanaka. Seeing them arrive, Kiyomi stopped cursing and just cried. Hikaru had to repeat what he told Hina Tanaka earlier to them. Hina's mother sat on the bench with an oh my, her face turning pale as she clutched her heart. Tadao! Hina's father went back to support her. What are you doing? He's still in surgery. A good man like Tadao will surely be fine. While helping her mother, Hina Tanaka didn't forget to block me behind her, fearing Kiyomi might rush over to hit me again. I stood beside the Tanaka family, looking at the glaring Kiyomi across from me and the silent Hikaru, and suddenly felt that I was more like family with Hina Tanaka and her parents. Mizuki returned after paying the surgery fees. Seeing the two camps, she paused briefly before walking toward Kiyomi and the others. Hikaru whispered something to her, and she listened intently with her head bowed. Kiyomi tried to pull Hikaru aside, but he ignored her. I could guess that Hikaru wanted to pay back Mizuki's surgery fees, which Kiyomi wouldn't allow, but Hikaru wouldn't listen to her. Hina's father pulled himself together and said to Kiyomi, "This must be Hikaru's girlfriend, right? She came to the hospital in the middle of the night to see Tadao." Kiyomi didn't like them, but she couldn't keep making a scene, so she reluctantly replied, "Yes, her name is Mizuki." Mizuki, these are Hina Tanaka's parents. Mizuki walked over and extended her hand to Hina's parents. "Hello, Uncle and Aunt." Hina's father shook her hand with an appreciative look. "Hello, hello. I've always heard Hikaru had a girlfriend. She really is talented. I just didn't expect to meet under these circumstances." Hina's mother also shook her hand. "This child is so reliable, running around taking care of everything. She looks like a movie star too. Hikaru has a good eye." Mizuki smiled slightly. "You're too kind." Coming from anyone else, it might sound artificial, but it sounded completely natural from her. While they made small talk, Hina Tanaka turned to fix my disheveled hair, pressed my head onto her shoulder, and patted my back gently. I leaned on her shoulder, staring blankly at the surgery light. Everything around me felt like a scene from a television show. Though I was in the middle of it, it felt so unreal. Accidents, cancer, incurable diseases. Is this the holy trinity of a Korean drama? But this wasn't a drama. And it's so close from home to school. Tadao has walked this road many times, so how could he get into an accident? As Hina Tanaka said, if he couldn't reach me, he could have called her. Why did he have to go out and look for me? If something happened to Tadao, what would I do? After finishing her pleasantries with Mizuki, Hina's mother turned to see me, tears in her eyes, and wrapped her hands around mine. Hina's father returned to Hina Tanaka's side and hugged us. Although they didn't say a word, this care meant more than 1,000 words. My body, which had been frozen, was warmed by them, and I slowly came to my senses. Tears finally flowed out. We waited outside for over an hour. The surgery light went off. The doctor had just stepped out before Kiyomi tugged at him. The doctor removed his mask and nodded. "Please rest assured, the surgery was a success. The patient's fractures and internal bleeding retreated, and his vitals have returned to normal." Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Kiyomi grabbed the doctor and cried. Hikaru went over to rescue the doctor, and after thanking him, pulled Kiyomi aside. We made way for the staff pushing the hospital bed out. Seeing the bed, I immediately walked up. After the surgery, Tadao seemed to have shrunk into a different person. He lay quietly, tubes in his nose, with vivid scrapes on his pale face. I wiped my tears and followed the bed. My heart ached with regret. If only I had gone home earlier today. If only my phone had power. Fortunately, Tadao was okay. If he hadn't pulled through, I would never have gotten over this for the rest of my life. Kiyomi didn't have the energy to punish me for now, and was helped by Hikaru toward the ward. The doctors adjusted the equipment inside and said family members could enter. After Hina's father saw Tadao, he said to Kiyomi, "Kiyomi, we're relieved that Tadao is okay. It's too late, so we'll head back first." Then he pulled me and said, "There's only one family bed here. Keige can't help much here anyway, so let him sleep at our house. We'll bring him back tomorrow, and we can bring some things for you." Kiyomi waved her hand. "Take him. I don't want to see him right now anyway." I really wanted to wait here until Tadao woke up, but there was indeed no place to sleep in the hospital, and I would only make Kiyomi angry. Hina's father went to get the car. We waited at the hospital entrance. Hina Tanaka saw a vending machine with hot drinks, ran over and bought a few bottles, giving me a hot milk to warm my hands. I said thank you, Hina Tanaka, and then looked at Hina's mother. "Auntie, thank you too, and uncle." Hina's mother said, "What are you thanking me for? We're family. Tonight you'll sleep in Hina Tanaka's room. I'll have her go to the spare room." As she said this, she hugged me tightly. "It's a good thing your father is blessed. You need to be strong too, don't be too sad. Okay?" Returning to the Tanaka house, I took a quick shower. Upon returning to Hina Tanaka's room, I found the newly made bed was already warmed by an electric blanket. Hina's mother came in with a humidifier. "Kage, I added some lavender essential oil. It can help you sleep." She also placed a small nightlight on the bedside table so I wouldn't be afraid of the dark. My chest ached painfully. Kiyomi had never been this attentive to me. The Tadao who was best to me was lying in a hospital bed because of me. Hina's mother put down the humidifier, turned to see me shedding tears, and sat on the edge of the bed. "Auntie will sleep with you tonight, okay?" I shook my head. "I'm fine, Auntie. Just sad thinking about Tadao." "You've had a long day too. Go get some sleep." "Okay. Call me if you need anything," she said, touching my forehead. Just as I tucked myself in, Hina Tanaka came in holding Curry the dog. "KG, let Curry sleep with you. She's not in heat anymore. She won't wet the bed." Curry was bobbing her head in her arms. I smiled and lifted a corner of the quilt. Kuri crawled in and licked me with purrs. I hugged her and said to Hina's mother and Hina Tanaka at the bedside, "I'm going to sleep. You guys go back too." Both said goodnight and left one after another. Kuri had been pulled out of her kennel in her sleep by Hina Tanaka. In no time, she stretched out in the quilt and began snoring lightly. The Tanaka house gradually became quiet. I lay on my side, smelling the faint scent of lavender in the air. This day had been too exhausting, and the quilt was so warm and comfortable. Tadao's surgery was successful, so I closed my eyes and fell asleep quickly. The next morning, Hina's mother didn't feel like cooking, so she let Hina Tanaka go downstairs to buy breakfast to eat together at the hospital. After eating, we packed the things needed for the hospital. Arriving at the hospital, Tadao had already woken up and looked to be in good spirits. I let go of my suitcase and threw myself at the bedside, crying and hugging him. Tadao wiped my tears. "KJ, don't cry. Isn't Tadao fine? If you couldn't reach me, you should have called Hina Tanaka. Why did you have to go out looking for me? If something had really happened to you, how could I ever forgive myself? Tadao is fine, isn't he? Besides, this isn't your fault." Tadao coughed twice as he spoke. Kiyomi returned with hot water and immediately came forward, pulling me away and throwing me aside. "You're so clumsy. You're pressing on Tadao's ribs." I then remembered Tadao had injuries. Not knowing where they were, I could only stand by, helpless. Tadao said, "Oh, why are you pushing the child? He's not pressing on me." Hina's parents, who hadn't had a chance to speak, took the opportunity to come in and exchange pleasantries. Hina Tanaka tugged on my sleeve for comfort. I looked at Tadao, smiling. Tadao was fine. I couldn't be happier. What was a little bit of mistreatment compared to that? Just then, Mizuki and Hikaru returned, both carrying breakfast. Seeing that they hadn't eaten, Hina's father mentioned he had a ride-sharing pickup, and the Tanaka family excused themselves. I walked them to the parking lot. Before getting in the car, Hina Tanaka said worriedly, "Why don't you just come back with us?" "I see your mother is still angry with you. She'll definitely pick on you today," I said. "She's just scared too. If saying a few words to me makes her feel better, let her say them. Besides, Hikaru and Mizuki are here. What is there to fear?" Hina Tanaka frowned and said, "That sister-in-law of yours." Hearing her mention Mizuki, I asked what was wrong. Hina Tanaka frowned. The dynamic between her and Hikaru is weird. Have they really reconciled? I breathed a sigh of relief. I thought you were going to say something else. They've both always been quiet people. That's how they've always been. Hina's father had to go, so Hina Tanaka got into the car. Hina's mother leaned out of the car window and said, "Keige, if there's no one home tonight, just come back to our house. Call your uncle to pick you up." My heart felt warm. "I'm fine, Auntie. My sister's house is close by. I have a place to sleep. Don't you worry. Drive safely." After seeing off the Tanaka family, I returned to Tadao's ward. He, Kiyomi, and Hikaru were already eating. I didn't want to disturb them, so I sat by the door and waited. They talked while eating. Kiyomi said to Tadao, "The drunk driver has been caught. The police will be here in a bit to take a statement." Tadao responded. Kiyomi continued, "By the way, we still have to tell your great brother and great sister. We always give them gifts. Let's see how much they give this time." Tadao said helplessly, "I'm fine. Don't tell them lest they worry." "Why not? If they aren't even willing to spend money when you're hospitalized, don't blame me for never giving them a cent again. By the way, where is Mizuki?" This was asked of Hikaru. Hikaru said he had Mizuki go home. Kiyomi sighed. "That girl doesn't talk much, but she's really great. As soon as she got my call last night, she rushed over." "Hikaru, you have to hold on to a woman like that." Hikaru said, "Why did you call her? We're just friends now." "What friends?" Kiyomi interrupted. "She is my daughter-in-law. If you don't take her home, your father and I won't be able to die in peace." Tadao said, "That's a bit much, isn't it?" Kiyomi said fiercely, "What, you want Hikaru and Mizuki to break up?" "That's not it either." Kiyomi angrily put down her chopsticks. "It's all because of that brat Keg stirring the pot in the middle. If it weren't for him, I'd be a mother-in-law by now. Now you've been hit by a car because of him. I just want to beat him to death when I see him." Tadao's tone became stern. "Here you go again. My accident was the drunk driver's fault. What does it have to do with Kege? Don't say such things anymore. You can't lay a hand on him again. Today, you pushed him in front of the Tanaka family, and last time you hit him in front of Mizuki. Kage is grown up now. He needs to save face too. Kiyomi didn't agree. Just keep spoiling him. Just then, 2 police officers knocked on the door. Hello, we are from the local station. We are here for the report on yesterday's accident. Did we interrupt your meal? Kiyomi said, No, we just finished. Come in. Hikaru began cleaning up the bowls and chopsticks. Kiyomi stayed in the room to listen to Tadao's statement. Hikaru came out carrying the lunchbox. He was startled when he saw me. I proactively took the lunchbox to throw it away, and when I returned, I sat at the door with him. Hikaru sat quietly on the side, wringing his fingers. I couldn't sit still and asked him, Have you and Mizuki reconciled? Hikaru's fingers paused and then slowly intertwined again. His voice was flat, with no discernible joy or anger. We are just colleagues now. Would colleagues buy you such an expensive wedding house? I couldn't help but probe. Hikaru, do you know Linguntai? That really high-end apartment complex with the glass walkway? Hikaru said, So what if I know it? I can't afford it. He actually didn't know. How much longer does Mizuki plan to hide the house? Since Tadao's hospitalization was a big deal, even with the pressure of school, I wanted to ask for leave to stay at the hospital with him, but Tadao wouldn't allow it. I'm fine, there are so many doctors here. What's there to worry about? Kiyomi is here with me, and Hikaru comes after work. You go back to school and come see me again on the holiday. I said we aren't even learning new material in class now, just reviewing and self-studying. It's the same if I bring my papers here to work on them. Kiyomi said, Is learning here the same as at school? If you're really filial, don't cause trouble and make us worry. Now you know what filial is. Why didn't you answer the phone yesterday? Tadao pushed her. Enough. Kiyomi rolled her eyes at him. Did I say anything wrong? If it weren't for him, would you be lying here? She looked at me. You still haven't told us. What were you doing out late at night with Hina Tanaka? I didn't want to argue in front of the hospital bed, so I controlled my volume and said, I was having a midnight snack with Li Huawang, and we ran into Hina Tanaka and Liu Ruyan, so we ate together. I didn't answer the phone because my battery was dead. I wasn't running around. Kiyomi couldn't find a fault, snorted, and begrudgingly stopped. Thinking about the constant bickering I'd have to face if I stayed in the hospital, I decided to go to school instead. In the afternoon, Hina Tanaka came by again, bringing chicken soup her mother had simmered. After some small talk, she took me away. The next week went by in a blur, and as expected, my weekly test scores dropped again. The head teacher had originally planned a home visit, but hearing my father was hospitalized, he didn't want to disturb us, telling me it was inevitable and to be strong. Saturday night, I walked home with Hina Tanaka. When we reached the spot where I last met Mizuki, she said, Are you really not going to stay at my place? I said, Yeah, if I'm always staying at your place. My mother will say I'm latching on and won't leave. Hina Tanaka said, Tadao is still in the hospital. Won't you be alone at night? How about I go keep you company? I patted her arm. Don't worry, what could possibly happen at my own house? You go back early too. Having witnessed Kiyomi's suspicious nature, Hina Tanaka didn't want to make things difficult for me and let me go home. Upon opening the door, the house looked like it had been burgled. Footprints everywhere, clutter thrown all over. It must have been Kiyomi who came back to get something. She never likes cleaning. She wouldn't even lift a fallen oil bottle. I put down my phone, took off my coat, rolled up my sleeves, and prepared to clean. Just as I walked into the bathroom, I locked eyes with a man holding a flashlight. I instinctively began to scream. The man covered my mouth. Don't, it's me. I stared, eyes wide, at the sneaky man, finally recognizing it was my oldest cousin. I swallowed my scream and pushed his hand away. What are you hiding in my house in the middle of the night for? You scared the hell out of me. As I said this, I saw half of a bead necklace poking out of his pocket. I pulled it out, and it was indeed Kiyomi's Tianu pearl necklace. You're stealing? I looked at him in disbelief. Tadao already lent you guys money, and you're still coming here to steal? He was embarrassed to have been caught, but hearing this, he straightened his back. What's stealing? This is borrowing. To say such things even when caught red-handed. I couldn't stand it anymore and grunted. My cousin reached out. Quick, give me the necklace. This was originally from our Lin family. Then let's let the police decide whose family it belongs to. I rushed out to grab my phone. Seeing I was going to call the police, my cousin lunged to grab the phone. Only those who have done something wrong are afraid. I dodged. You have no conscience. Your whole family has no conscience. Tadao has always thought about the old days. Kiyomi was even gonna lend you money, and you're still not satisfied? You're coming here to steal, you thief. Shut up! When my cousin couldn't get the phone, he pushed me onto the sofa. He sat on my waist and finally grabbed the phone. Seeing I hadn't had a chance to call the police, he threw the phone aside in relief and went for the necklace. I protected the necklace with my life. Get lost, I'm not giving it to you. Afraid to break the necklace, he didn't pull too hard, so he grabbed my neck instead. Let go, or I'll choke you to death. A man that size, sitting on me and choking me. I couldn't breathe. My vision began to darken, but I wouldn't let go. My cousin couldn't actually kill me, so he let go and tried to reason. Kage, what's the point of this? What good does offending me do your family? I couldn't push him off, so I angrily said, at worst, we'll break ties with you. Hikaru makes more money in a month than all you brothers combined. You guys can't even afford to get married. I didn't actually know how much Hikaru made. I was just trying to anger him. Who knew he would take it seriously? What? He makes that much? Your father only lent us 20,000. Then this necklace is even less to you. Give it to me. Seeing he was going to choke me again, I struggled to pick up the flashlight he had left on the coffee table and slammed it hard into his face. I didn't know if I hit his nose bridge or his eye. He groaned, covered his face, and fell backward. I quickly crawled off the sofa, grabbed the phone, and rushed out. Just as I opened the door, I bumped into a cold embrace. I was terrified, thinking the three brothers had come together, and swung my fist at the person. A delicate, fair hand caught my fist with a gentle pull, making me miss. Looking up, I immediately hid behind her and pointed inside. Mizuki, help! There's a thief inside! Mizuki didn't hold back when dealing with him. With one phone call, my cousin spent the night at the police station. Tomorrow, my uncle's family would definitely go to the hospital to cause a scene, and Kiyomi would blow up again when she found out Tadao lent them money. Sitting in Mizuki's car, my head pounded thinking about all of this. There's never a moment of peace. I looked at Mizuki beside me. Mizuki, why were you at my house door? She looked straight ahead. Kiyomi asked me to take you to live at Hikaru's place. It seems Kiyomi was afraid I'd go to Hina Tanaka's house again. Now I didn't even dare go back to my own house. That cousin of mine hiding in the bathroom had scared me enough. It was too late to disturb Hina Tanaka and make her parents worry, so I had no choice but to go to Hikaru's place. Hey Mizuki, Kiyomi asked you to go to the hospital last week too, right? This time you saved me. You're so good to us. But I heard from Hikaru that you guys aren't back together yet. Why not tell him about the wedding house? Mizuki suddenly asked, do you like it there? Of course I do. It's so bright and spacious, and the location is also... Then it's yours. She was giving me the wedding house she bought with Hikaru. My first reaction was that she was teasing me, but she had never joked with me before. Had I misheard? So I automatically ignored that sentence. Let's go upstairs together in a bit. You can talk to Hikaru. She responded and continued driving, as if she hadn't said that. When we arrived at Hikaru's place, Hikaru saw Mizuki dropping me off, and his expression darkened. But when he heard about my cousin breaking into the house to steal, he gasped. What? How could he? Afraid he wouldn't believe me, I pulled down my collar. Look, he even choked me. The choke marks were still on my throat. Hikaru glanced at them and said to Mizuki, I'm really sorry to trouble you. It's late. Let me take you down. Mizuki stood up and said to me, get some rest, and went out with Hikaru. As soon as they left, I ran to the balcony to look down. Before long, Hikaru and she were standing downstairs talking for a long while. I clasped my hands and prayed silently. Reconcile, please reconcile, reconcile. Slap! Hikaru slapped her across the face. I heard it clearly from upstairs, and my heart gave a twitch. What now, ancestors? Hikaru turned and ran back. Mizuki stood there, touched her face, turned, and left. Hikaru came back crying. He didn't even look at me when he entered, rushed into his room and slammed the door. I stood in the living room, looking from him to the balcony. Although I didn't know what they had said, it was 10-1 they had broken up. It's over. Kiyomi will definitely peel my skin off. Neither Hikaru nor I slept well that night. Mizuki's, then it's yours, and the sound of Hikaru's suppressed sobbing in the room kept turning in my head all night. Thinking of all the stupid things I'd done since New Year's Day, I felt more and more agitated and regretful. Until the windows turned white, I threw off the blanket and sat up. I hadn't slept at all. The phone suddenly rang. The caller ID was Kiyomi. I didn't want to answer, but didn't dare not to. Hello, Kiyomi? Kage! The opening was the familiar thunderclap, followed by a barrage. Where are you? Did you go to Hina Tanaka's house again? Didn't I ask Mizuki to pick you up and go to Hikaru's? Your uncle said your cousin went to our house and hasn't returned yet. Where is he? Give the phone to Tadao, I have something to tell him. He was right next to her. What was there that couldn't be said? I switched to speakerphone. Tadao is listening too, tell me. Well, you two need to stay strong. I told them about my cousin breaking into steal and Mizuki calling the police and sending me to Hikaru's place. You lent them 20,000 and they weren't satisfied and wanted to steal? How can people be so shameless? Kiyomi exploded as expected. I've seen everything today. Tadao tried to persuade her from the side. Keep your voice down, we're in a hospital. Kiyomi was like an erupting gas tank. So what if we're in a hospital? Are they worried about you being hospitalized? They came empty-handed and turned around to steal from you. This is why they think they can walk all over you because you're weak. This time they stole from me. I will definitely make him go in for a few years to taste prison food. I'm not someone to mess with. Half an hour later, everyone involved gathered in the ward. My aunt was a mess of tears. Tadao, you're so heartless. Anything should be settled behind closed doors. Why send someone to the station to get a criminal record? If the woman finds out, they won't be able to get married, and the children won't be able to take the civil service exams. Kiyomi sneered. Stealing while fearing the consequences? It was only because Kage happened to run into him that it came out. Who knows how many times he's been there lately. I have to go back and see if anything else is missing. My aunt and Kiyomi couldn't stand each other. She slapped her thigh and sat on the ground crying. She was slandering us empty-handed. Our son was worried about his brother and went to see him late at night, and he just picked up something rare to look at. Now, in their mouths, he's a thief. My uncle was shrinking back, not having his wife's thick skin to look you in the eye and lie. Kiyomi leaned in to watch the show. Oh, worried about Keiji? Then why didn't you have him stay at your house? Why did he pick the time no one was home to go to mine? Who opened the door for him? The jewelry box has 3 locks. The keys are with me. How did he get the necklace? My aunt was rendered speechless. I criticized Kiyomi for being difficult, but it was satisfying to watch her handle others. My aunt realized only she was sitting on the ground, stood up, and brushed off her bottom. Tadao, you speak up. Your own nephew was wrongly accused of being a thief. Is it a good look for you, the uncle? Tadao looked pained. I quickly stepped forward and let him look at my neck. Tadao, this was grabbed by my cousin. He wanted to snatch the necklace, and when I wouldn't give it to him, he grabbed me. After a night, the marks were even more obvious. Tadao looked at the marks and finally set aside his saintly aura. Did he choke you? My aunt pulled me over. This is an allergy, you scratched yourself. Kiyomi grabbed a passing doctor. Doctor, take a look. Is this an allergy, or was he choked? The doctor, caught in the middle like a lost lamb, looked and said, It's not an allergy, he was choked. Kiyomi triumphantly arched an eyebrow. Hear that? Your son is caught. The doctor asked if he needed medicine. Kiyomi waved her hand. No need, don't worry about it. We'll do an injury report. The doctor left calmly. My aunt, out of tricks, began sobbing. Tadao, sister-in-law, please show mercy. Nanan and Nandong need to get married. Who will marry into the family if a family member has a criminal record? Kiyomi turned her face away and ignored her. This time, she finally caught an opportunity to settle old scores from many years together. Tadao looked at my aunt, then at me, and finally said, Sister-in-law, stop crying. We're all family. Kage is fine and the necklace wasn't lost. Let's just call it off this time. Kiyomi was in disbelief. You can just call it off? He stole into the house and choked Kage. Do we have to wait until he kills him before it counts? I said call it off. Tadao was rarely this angry. Kiyomi laughed in extreme anger. Fine, you're all family. I'm just an outsider who has lived with you for over 20 years. Let your family wait on you then. She said, shooing Kage and Hikaru out of the ward. In the elevator, Kiyomi began to cry. A woman offered a tissue. Don't be too sad, ma'am. Kiyomi cried even harder. Downstairs, when Kiyomi wanted to go to Hikaru's place, he refused. You should go home and take inventory." Returning home, Kiyomi went straight to the jewelry box, finished taking inventory, and said regretfully, "They actually only stole the necklace." The police temporarily held the necklace until Mizuki provided the proof of purchase. I knew the price was enough for a 10-year sentence. Tadao didn't pursue it. It was really too easy on them. While cleaning the room, my aunt called to ask for the case to be dropped. Kiyomi smashed a teacup. "If you want to go, go yourself." I had no choice but to go out alone. At the police station entrance, my aunt grabbed me. "Say the necklace was only worth a little over 100. I sneered. "The Tianu pearl necklace is worth 100? Do you think the police are blind?" Mizuki arrived with the receipt, and my aunt panicked. "KJ, tell her not to make a big deal out of it." I pulled Mizuki into a corner to explain the situation. She handed over the materials. "You decide the family business yourself." Looking at the receipt, a flash of inspiration hit me. The 20,000 you and Uncle borrowed must be put in an IOU for me. My aunt was terrified the receipt would fall into the hands of the police, and though she was angry that I was taking advantage of the situation to make such a demand, she still ran to a nearby shop to get paper and a pen, scribbled a hasty IOU, and shoved it at me. Even Tadao didn't ask for an IOU. You really know how to worry for him. It was my first time having someone write an IOU. I couldn't tell if anything was wrong with it, so I subconsciously looked toward Mizuki. She stood by the side the whole time, and upon receiving my look for help, she lowered her head and said, "There is no repayment date written." Aunt glared and hatefully added a date 2 years from now. "Is this okay? Give me the receipt." I put away the IOU and handed the receipt to her. Aunt unfolded it, took a glance, her brows twitched violently, and then she folded it and stuffed it into her bag. She urged me to hurry into the police station. Uncle was waiting inside. Upon seeing me, he sincerely called out, "Keg." Seeing Mizuki, he hesitated, not knowing what to call her. Aunt glared at him, signaling him to shut up. Uncle honestly stepped back to her side, and we followed the police into the mediation room. Soon after, my cousin was also brought in. Aunt only noticed her son now. She slammed the table, stood up, and shrieked, "My son! What happened to your face?" The police barked, "Be quiet!" Aunt sat back down with a thud, gnashing her teeth and glaring at me. I looked at my cousin across from me, who had a head swollen like a pig's face from my beating, and wanted to laugh. Serves him right. Although the police didn't believe the Tianu pearl necklace was only worth 100 yuan, since the victim wasn't pursuing the matter, they preferred mediation to maintain harmony and avoid giving anyone a criminal record. My cousin's attitude in admitting his mistake was decent enough, and after some criticism and education, the mediation concluded smoothly. As we were walking out, 2 other police officers brought in a dejected-looking yellow-haired guy. The moment the yellow-haired guy and my cousin locked eyes, both of their faces changed drastically. My cousin bolted, and the yellow-haired guy pointed at him and shouted, "Officer!" The one named Lin. "He's the one who asked me to sell the stolen goods." The police, hearing it wasn't about the pearl necklace but other stolen goods, immediately gave chase. A while later, my cousin was dragged back in. Both uncle and aunt were terrified. Upon investigation, it turned out the bracelet was the jade one Mizuki had given me. I was stunned too. Didn't Tadao already return it to her? How could it have been stolen by my cousin? My cousin certainly couldn't have gone to Mizuki's house to steal it, so he must have stolen it from my home. He had come to my house more than once. Caught by surprise, they had no chance to collude on their stories. The yellow-haired guy said the bracelet had already been sold for 100,000 yuan. Upon hearing the amount, Aunt collapsed directly to the floor, her face ashen. Uncle stood there blankly, weeping uncontrollably. My emotions were complex. If it was sold for 100,000, it must have cost even more to buy. How much money did Mizuki have to be throwing it around like this? Now my cousin was being criminally detained, and the case was no longer something I could just withdraw. The police told us to go back and wait. They would notify me when the bracelet was recovered. Walking out of the police station, I looked at Mizuki, who had been silently accompanying us the whole time, and couldn't help but ask, "Didn't Tadao return the bracelet to you?" She replied, "I gave it specifically to you. If you didn't want it, you should have just broken it. Broken jade is just broken jade." I wouldn't dare break that thing. How could there be such a good person? So good that it makes one feel guilty. Although she had bought a more expensive wedding house for Hikaru, she hadn't told him about it in the end. Hikaru only saw her give me the jade bracelet. It's no wonder he suspected us. Mizuki, did you break up with Hikaru? Is there really no chance of getting back together? She replied, Hikaru will meet someone better. I bowed deeply to her. Then I definitely cannot keep your gift. Our family has caused you so much trouble. Thank you for always helping us, even though you won't be my sister-in-law anymore. But you are great. Really, really great. You will surely find happiness in the future. I'm sorry to have made you run around today. You should go back now. Mizuki responded, I'm heading that way anyway. I'll take you. I waved at her. No need. I'll walk back. I don't want to go home so fast. Goodbye, Mizuki. I turned and left. Even though Mizuki didn't mind taking me, I couldn't be shameless enough to keep exploiting her kindness. It was all my fault. If only I hadn't said that sentence. I don't know if I'll ever meet such a good sister-in-law again in this lifetime. I dragged my feet back home. When Kiyomi heard that my cousin had just gotten out, only to go back in again, she sprang up from the sofa, beaming with joy. Really? That guy even stole your bracelet? I nodded. Yes. But Mom, why was my bracelet in your drawer? According to my cousin's confession, he saw the jade bracelet in the drawer during his first break-in. Because it was so beautiful, he wasn't sure if it was real, so he stole it to have the yellow-haired guy appraise it. It ended up being worth several tens of thousands. In the following days, seeing our house empty, he realized no one had noticed things going missing. So his heart itching, he sneaked in again to pry open Kiyomi's jewelry box and took the best quality Tianu pearl necklace, right before I caught him red-handed. Kiyomi rolled her eyes at me. How would I know? Maybe your father put it there. And you too. Since Mizuki said she gave it to you, why did you give it back? I wanted to tell her that Mizuki and Hikaru had broken up, but she would definitely start wailing and call Hikaru or Mizuki. Thinking of Hikaru's exhausted state, I decided to wait until she was in better spirits to tell her herself. I stopped talking about the bracelet and gave her the IOU Aunt had written, telling her I traded it for the necklace receipt. Kiyomi let out a long sigh of relief looking at the IOU. You finally did something smart. We won't pursue the matter of the necklace, but one thing is one thing. The money his family borrowed must be repaid. By the way, didn't Mizuki go to the police station with you? Why didn't you come back together? I replied, no one is cooking at home. Why would I have her come over? Stop calling her for every little thing. She's not your free errand runner. Kiyomi rolled her eyes at me. What do you know? If it weren't for that stunt you pulled, would I have to work so hard to create opportunities for your brother and her? They are both as cold as ice. If left alone, they'll break up sooner or later. She glared at me viciously. If they break up, I'll beat you to death. It seems I couldn't escape this beating. Kiyomi claimed she wouldn't care about Tadao, but by the afternoon she couldn't sit still. Plus, with the uncle's family in bad luck, she was in a great mood and ran to the hospital. Thinking there was nothing to do at the hospital, I didn't go with her and called Hina Tanaka to head back to school together. As soon as we met, I let out a huge yawn. Hina Tanaka asked, "Didn't sleep well?" In the past, I would have spilled everything like beans. But now we were both high school seniors, and she was preparing to study abroad. I couldn't let my family's drama distract her, so I swallowed all my words. Yeah, didn't sleep well. Hina Tanaka reached behind me and kneaded my temples with both hands. Stop worrying about your father. My mother goes to see him every day and says he's recovering well and can be discharged next week. I leaned back against her chest. Your mother is so thoughtful. My family is never at peace for a single day. I'm so tired. Just got out of the hospital and straight into the police station, and I still have to brace myself for that beating from Kiyomi that could come at any time. Hina Tanaka smiled and said, Kage, why don't we go to the United States together? This made me laugh. How is that possible? I'm not as good at studying as you, and the tuition and living expenses there must be very high. My family can't afford it. She hesitated and said, as for money, my family could also... I interrupted her. Stop! Stop! You might not care, but I do. Your uncle has to sit in the car running ride-sharing all day, and your aunt's back isn't good either. They are busy from morning till night. When Wang Chuji studied abroad, she didn't come back for years just to save on airfare. Your family has only just started to get better these past 2 years. Let's not add to their burden. Hina Tanaka had no say because she was also spending her family's money, so she could only remain silent. Suddenly, she remembered something. Li Wang's college applications are also for the imperial capital. I didn't care. If they are, let them be. If you don't go, I don't want to go either. The winters in the imperial capital are freezing, and there are sandstorms in the spring. I don't like that kind of weather, she laughed. Then I think Cloud City is quite good. It's a coastal city in the south with spring all year round. Across the water is the Special Administrative Region, and it's only an hour away from home by high-speed rail. I nodded. Good, I'll check out the schools in Cloud City. Passing by a milk tea shop, I grabbed her. Look, they have new items. My little thoughts didn't need to be guessed. Hina Tanaka said amusedly. Fine. We went in, bought 2 of the new drinks, and each took one back to school. Just before the evening study hall started, Tadao messaged me asking how my neck was and sent me a red envelope. I accepted it and told him not to worry. Today, when he forgave my cousin, he hadn't planned on telling Kiyomi. Kiyomi was angry, and so was I. My cousin had choked me like this, and my father actually said it was nothing. But it seems compared to his nephew, his own son is still more important. The red envelope he sent was also bigger than usual. By Wednesday, Kiyomi told Tadao gloatingly that the uncle's family had suffered another disaster. The police, in tracking the stolen goods, checked my cousin's bank statements and found suspicious accounts. A credit check revealed he had gambled and borrowed over 500,000 yuan in online loans. My cousin, unable to fill this hole, came up with a fake marriage scheme. The girlfriend who demanded cars and houses was rented. All the money uncle and aunt had pooled together for his house and car had been gambled away. Now his family was in chaos, and the 2 younger brothers were clamoring to split the family property. No one was willing to help this gambling addict older brother pay his debts. Putting down my phone, I couldn't help but sigh. How can a person dig such a big hole? Uncle's family was just an ordinary household. The couple had borrowed from all their relatives for my cousin's wedding. And now with him in prison and leaving behind 500,000 in debt, the 2 old folks truly had the heart to die. His family's misfortune made Tadao feel bad. He wanted to discuss helping them with Kiyomi at noon after being discharged. Kiyomi, of course, disagreed and said if he dared to give the uncle's family another cent, she would really divorce him. When I got home, I was faced with a cold kitchen and Tadao, who was hobbling on crutches. His leg fracture hadn't healed properly, he couldn't cook, so he could only order takeout. I put down my bag and looked at this broken home, feeling truly annoyed. Since the new year, there hasn't been a single peaceful day. I'm a high school senior. I don't ask to be treated like an emperor at home, but at least let me get a good night's sleep. Tadao saw my exhaustion and said apologetically, Kage, you go shower first. What do you want to eat? Tadao will make it. I waved my hand on the sofa. Don't want to eat, no appetite. Then I patted the spot next to me. Dad, come sit. Tadao moved over. I asked him, do you really want to help Uncle's family? He replied, Kagi, you saw it yourself. Their family is truly in a difficult spot now. Your uncle's hair has even turned white from worry. I curled my lips. He's in his 50s or 60s. Isn't it normal for hair to be white? Isn't their current state caused by my cousin? When my cousin was gambling, borrowing money, and stealing, why didn't he think about what his family would become? He even came up with a fake marriage to scam money. Why should you pay for the disasters he caused? Tadao lowered his head. They are my own flesh and blood after all. Your uncle and aunt are getting on in years. How could I just watch them? I interrupted him. They are getting on in years, but aren't you and Kiyomi getting on in years too? Even if my cousin is caught, don't they have a second and third cousin? They are their own brothers. If they don't help their brother, do they expect you, an uncle with a family of your own, to help? Tadao sighed. Kage, I feel guilty. If I had firmly returned the bracelet to Mizuki back then, your cousin wouldn't have. I interrupted him. Dad, even if he didn't steal the bracelet, he would have stolen something else. You should be glad he was caught so quickly. Otherwise, if he kept taking money to gamble, he would only owe more. I picked up paper and pen to calculate with him. 500,000 isn't impossible for them to pay back. Make them sell the house. Let the second and third cousin go out to work, and uncle and aunt shouldn't stay idle either. Between the 4 of them, they should be able to make 10,000 or 20,000 a month, right? If they work for 2 or 3 years, if they don't want to sell the house, just work a few more years, and they can pay it back. They have 3 sons. Do you need to worry about them? The more I said, the more wronged I felt. During the new year, I wanted to go to the United States with Hina Tanaka's family, but you wouldn't get my passport and visa. Hina Tanaka is going to study abroad, and I want to go too. But I know our family doesn't have that spare money. Even when Hina Tanaka asked me, I said I wasn't going. Hikaru and Mizuki also broke up. The gifts Mizuki gave, you haven't transferred the money back to her yet, right? Tadao suddenly interrupted. Wait, Hikaru and Mizuki broke up? I thought to myself, hasn't Hikaru told them? I give up. How can both he and Mizuki be so good at hiding things? Tadao had always felt he didn't care enough about Hikaru. And now that he thought about it, Hikaru had been visiting him every night. He, the father, hadn't noticed anything unusual at all, and blamed himself. Every time your mother invited Mizuki over, I turned a blind eye, thinking I'd let her play matchmaker. Who knew they had already? I don't know how painful it must be for Hikaru to see her. Cage, you too. Since your brother didn't make a sound, why didn't you tell me sooner? I didn't say anything because I was afraid of getting beaten. As for Hikaru not saying anything, how would I know why it happened so suddenly? Tadao couldn't care about the uncle's family anymore. He really needed to transfer the money to Mizuki as soon as possible. We couldn't let her lose out. Now that the big money was in Karami's hands, I had to tell her the truth to make the transfer. You bring me my phone. I'll call your brother and ask him what's going on. The call went through, and unexpectedly, Hikaru said, Mizuki and I didn't break up. Why would we return the money? Tadao looked at me, puzzled. But Kage said, you two. Hikaru's voice was cold. This is between me and Mizuki. What would he know? We are just fine. You don't need to worry. Just focus on recovering at home. I have some work to finish. Hanging up now. After hanging up, Tadao looked at me. I quickly held up my hands. This time I didn't make things up. Really? Last week at the police station, I asked Mizuki, and she said they had already broken up. And she also said Hikaru would meet someone better. Tadao was confused and muttered to himself. So did they break up or not? I didn't know anymore either. In any case, our family's money must be paid back to Mizuki first. Seeing Tadao nod, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Being sentimental is a good thing, but it depends on the target. What's the use of being good to people like the uncle and aunt who don't know how to be grateful? They will only suck the life out of you. The aunt was always proud of her 3 sons. Now it was the time for those good sons to contribute money and effort. Our family was not going to be the sucker paying off their gambling debts. Whether Hikaru and Mizuki broke up or not, I wouldn't care anymore. I had been beaten because of that lie, and I had done my best to match them up. But if a couple about to get engaged really broke up because of a single word from me, maybe, as Hina Tanaka said, there were already problems between them. I just happened to be there at the wrong time. Thinking like this is a bit heartless, but I was overwhelmed and in no mood to think about them. Next week is the second mock exam. This exam basically reflects the real level of the college entrance exam. I looked it up. My score for Cloud City University was a bit tight. I really needed to step it up. The next day after breakfast, I prepared lunch and dinner for Tadao, then called Hina Tanaka to head back to school. She also needed to drill problems to secure her victory. Of course, there are students who can get high scores easily, but the top students around me all worked extremely hard. I hadn't even finished this set of books once. With my level, how could I get into a US university? Don't even think about it. But I must reach the cutoff score for Cloud City University. The second mock exam was set for Thursday and Friday. Because it was a regional joint exam, the results wouldn't be out until next week. I felt my performance this time was okay. I had done a lot of specialized training before the exam, and with Hina Tanaka's notes to help, it would probably be a bit higher than the first mock. But tests are like gambling. You never know whether you're winning or losing until the end. Anyway, it's over, so put it aside for now. Pack up and go home for the break. I was packing in the dorm, and a few roommates were discussing the exams and their applications. Sang-chang on the upper bunk asked me, Kage, wasn't your application for the Imperial Capital? Why did you change it to Cloud City? Not going to college with Hina Tanaka anymore? The blackboard at the back of the class was made into an application board, and everyone's choices were written on it. Hina Tanaka hadn't advertised that she was planning to go abroad, so her application was still for the Imperial Capital, only mine had changed. I replied, don't want to go anymore. Cloud City is great, it's close to home. Zhongqiang continued, oh, my mom also told me to apply to Cloud City, saying it's close to home for convenience. But with my grades, how could I? By the way, Li Huawang, isn't your dad a professor in the chemistry department at Cloud University? You're not applying to Cloud University? Li Huoweng shook his head, not applying. Spent the first half of my life being controlled by him. Don't want to see his face in college, too. I'm going to Sujing. There are many museums there, and it produces long-legged beauties. The dorm burst into laughter. I wiped away the tears from laughing, put on my backpack, and said, "Brothers, I'm going first." Li Huoweng called me back. "I'm going to bring some stuff to my dad tomorrow. Are you going? I can just take you to tour Cloud University and eat in the cafeteria at noon." My eyes lit up. "Okay, I'll go ask my dad when I get back. If it's okay, I'll tell you at night." When I got home, the old Buddha had returned to the palace and was watching TV. Seeing me, she asked, "How was the second mock exam?" Judging by her tone, she was emotionally stable, but I couldn't lower my guard. I replied cautiously, "Okay, I finished all the questions." Kiyomi replied, "He just went downstairs to take out the trash." I panicked. "Why would you let him take out the trash? He's still on crutches." Kiyomi was unfazed. "He's idling at home every day. These 2 steps wouldn't tire him." "What do you mean idling?" "Tadao just got out of the hospital. How can he limp to the company?" I said angrily, took down my bag. "I'll go find him." On TV, a mother-in-law and daughter-in-law started a fight. Kiyomi was reluctant to look away and didn't turn her head. "Oh, buy some mint while you're at it. Let your father make noodles with sauce tonight." My poor dad. I went downstairs and didn't see him. I called him and found he was at the vegetable market. Walking in, I saw not only him but also Hina Tanaka's mother and Hina Tanaka. Hina Tanaka's mother was walking beside Tadao, and Hina Tanaka was carrying a basket full of vegetables. Seeing me, Hina Tanaka's mother waved, "Kage, here!" I ran over. "Auntie, why are you here too? Hina Tanaka, is it heavy? Let me carry some." Hina Tanaka laughed. "How heavy can this be? Just follow along." Hina Tanaka's mother said while walking, "Hina Tanaka and I saw your dad while buying vegetables. He was on crutches and couldn't carry heavy things, so it worked out to walk together." I quickly thanked her. Hina Tanaka's mother asked, "Is your mother still at Hikaru's place and hasn't returned yet?" I looked at Tadao inquisitively. He gave a wry smile. "She hasn't returned yet." It seems he was embarrassed to say that Kiyomi had sent him out to do chores, while she stayed at home to watch TV. Hina Tanaka noticed our eye contact and turned away, amused. I poked her in the waist. Hina Tanaka's mother, oblivious, expressed sincere concern. "Tadao, Kage is grown up now. One is getting married, one is in college. There are plenty of places that need money. You haven't let your big brother down all these years. Don't worry about this mess this time. His family has many people. Let them figure out a way." I chimed in from the side. Exactly. Hina Tanaka's mother continued. "Also, did your big nephew do anything human? Let him go in for a few years to detox from gambling. He'll be in his 30s when he comes out and can start his life over. Everyone has their own fate, you can't control it all." I nodded repeatedly. Tadao, seeing us singing in chorus, couldn't help but laugh. "Won't worry about it. Kage told me something similar last week. As one gets older, one's spirit isn't what it used to be. I really can't manage it anymore." Hina Tanaka's mother laughed. "Yeah, living one's own life well is better than anything else. You should hurry and have Kiyomi come home too. Hikaru is still dating. She's just getting in the way there." As she was saying this, Kiyomi's chilly voice came from behind. "Who are you saying I'm obstructing?" We were startled, turned around, and saw her. Hina Tanaka's mother shouted, "Oh, Kiyomi, I was just saying Tadao should go pick you up." Kiyomi walked up and deliberately supported Tadao. "I came back long ago. These two wouldn't come back, so I came down to take a look." Then she gave a fake smile. "You all are chatting quite happily, aren't you? Are you bad-mouthing me?" Hina Tanaka's mother quickly explained, "Didn't hear the whole thing. I just said you'd be obstructing the couple at Hikaru's place." Tadao smoothed things over. "They are concerned about us. Don't be so jumpy." Kiyomi stopped talking, but her face was still full of fighting spirit. Hina Tanaka's mother sensed the atmosphere and patted Hina Tanaka. "Tadao, Kiyomi, I haven't bought vegetables yet. I'll go first. Hina Tanaka, you take Kage and them home." Hina Tanaka agreed. I looked at Hina Tanaka's mother wistfully. She patted my head. Think about what you want to eat in the next couple of days. Just come to Auntie's house. Don't let Tadao cook. After saying that, she left. Kiyomi glared at me and faked a smile at Hina Tanaka. Give the basket to Kage, you go chase your mother. Hina Tanaka handed over the basket, said bye, and left. I watched them disappear into the crowd for a long time. I truly understood what eyes straining with longing meant. After arriving home, Kiyomi scolded Hina Tanaka's mother for gossiping behind people's backs. I couldn't help but retort. Auntie isn't that kind of person at all. If you like her so much, why not just recognize her as your mother? I held my breath and went to the kitchen to help, and in my distraction, I cut my finger. Rinsing it under cold water, I stomped my foot from the pain. Tadao scrambled to find medicine, and Kiyomi sneered from outside. Got your comeuppance for siding with outsiders, didn't you? Tadao couldn't bear it anymore. That's enough. The child is injured, can't you say less? Kiyomi stopped, snorted, and slammed the door to the bedroom. The wound wasn't big. After the bleeding stopped, Tadao pushed me. Go out, I can handle it. I shook my head. It's a small wound, I'm fine. Dad, she finally came back. Why did you provoke her again? Tadao said with conviction. Kiyomi is truly going too far. Don't take those words to heart. By the way, go to Cloud University with Li Huawang tomorrow. Be safe on the way. The next morning, Li Huawang and I met at the high-speed rail station. Cloud City is a coastal tourist city. I had even gone for a barbecue with the Hina Tanaka family last summer break. Entering Cloud University for the first time, Li Huawang shook his faculty card and said he would take me to live it up, go for a ride in a school bus, take photos at the library with a sea view, and feast in the faculty cafeteria. Just as we sat down, my phone rang. Mizuki's cold voice came through. Auntie said you're at Cloud University. I'll come pick you up this afternoon. I quickly declined, but she hung up directly. I put down my phone, thinking, my mother is truly meddlesome. It must be that she wanted to see her daughter-in-law again, and since she couldn't find another excuse, she used me as a gun. What's even more speechless is that I actually agreed. I really didn't want to see her again. So awkward. Because I rarely mentioned Hikaru at school, Li Huawang heard the name Mizuki for the first time. He curiously inquired, who is this person? I replied it was my brother's girlfriend. Li Huawang had no objection. Okay, it just saves on the train ticket. KJ, what does your brother's girlfriend look like? Got a photo? I replied, looks okay, I don't have a photo. Once you meet her, don't mention Hikaru. Their relationship is a bit confusing recently. Li Huawang asked, did they have a fight? I lowered my head and bit into a fishball. I don't understand their business either. This fishball is delicious. Li Huawang snatched a fishball and was also full of praise. Tastes much better than what my mom makes. I asked him, can we pack up the food here? I want to bring some back for mom and dad to taste, I'll pay. Li Huawang said generously, pay what? Didn't I say I'd take you to live it up? Of course I'll use my dad's card. I want to pack some to bring back too.